December 11th. And we will start with a trustee who actually, should we start with our call to order and our roll call first? Okay. I'm going to begin with our land acknowledgement. Good evening. As we begin this meeting, it's important to pay respect to and acknowledge that we are on the traditional land of the Ohlone, Costanoan, and Esselen people, and additionally pay respect to elders, both past and present. Okay, Dr. Adamson, roll call, please.
Yes, of course. I know we're about to read, we'll be reading the script, but until then, I'm going to start with President Dr. Hazen.
Here.
Clerk McNeary.
Here.
Trustee Otmar is absent this evening. Unfortunately, her son had to have teeth pulled and he is in a lot of pain, so she needs to be there with him tonight. And we understand that. Let's see, Trustee Wax.
Here.
And Trustee Shamas.
Here. Okay, thank you. Next, I'll move on to the teleconferencing script because we do have a trustee appearing with us remotely, Dr. Hazen, and that is why I am opening the meeting in his stead. I want to announce that we do have a trustee who, for the record, is teleconferencing tonight. I am therefore going to read our typical disclaimer. I would like to announce for the record that this meeting is being conducted pursuant to California Government Code 54953, Section B, concerning teleconferencing of meetings. President Dr. Hazen is participating in this meeting by Zoom from, I don't have his address in front of me. Could you share your address with us? I'm sorry.
If needed for the emergency meeting? I didn't know if that was actually, I thought, but I can if needed.
It is according to the script I've been provided for teleconferencing this evening. So.
Okay, I'm in the Grand Pacific Hotel in Victoria, Canada.
Okay. I have a few questions to ask President Dr. Hazen in accordance with the Brown Act. Also, in accordance with the Brown Act, this location has not been noticed on the agenda.
Correct. It has not been noticed because it was an emergency situation, which is allowed by the Brown Act. So you're right. We probably need to just adapt that slightly.
Okay. Thank you. President Dr. Hazen, are you able to hear our proceedings on this end?
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a copy of the agenda for this meeting?
I do.
Is the agenda posted at your current location?
As it needs to be.
Okay. Is your location such that any member of the public could participate in the public portions of this teleconference meeting from your location?
If needed, yes.
Thank you. Members of the board, are you all able to hear President Dr. Hazen?
Yes. Yes.
And that's affirmative from all of us. For the record, all board members said yes. Finally, because we are having a meeting with teleconferencing tonight, all of our actions will be via roll call vote versus majority vote. So please help me remember.
I will.
Thank you, President Dr. Hazen. We will now move on to adoption of the agenda. First, I will go to you, Dr. Adamson, for any updates or changes to the agenda we have before us.
Yes, so we do have, two expedited items, which we are referring to our formerly known as walk-on items at this time. The first one is a side letter agreement. And the reason this was not on the packet that was posted on Monday, it's twofold. The first being that negotiations only occurred yesterday with our CSCA unit. And then in addition to that, it just really just had the additional, amount of time, right, to be able to do that. So Chief Rogan, would you mind just sharing a little bit of information about the SLA that the board would need to know?
That allows us to adjust the work year calendar to account for the fact that from July 1st to June 30th this year, there are 261 weekdays. However, payroll functions on a 260-day work year. So we had to come up with an unpaid day off for the employees that work several of the calendars that were affected. That unpaid day off is going to be the day after Christmas, which is another reason for the urgency of this item being an expedited item at this time.
Thank you. Are there any other
There is, yes.
items?
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
So there is also that we have an expedite item for 4 out of county trips. They are all PG high school trips. And, I know the question is always asked, well, why weren't they in time, for the packet itself? And there's a variety of different reasons. You'll see, some are specific to the wrestling tournament. And then there are, 2 others. And really in looking into each of them, it really came down to, with the teachers in charge of each of those, they were either awaiting additional information for driver or transportation information from a parent volunteer and just weren't able to, make that Monday date when the actual agenda was going to be posted. And so, each of them, they really worked hard to get to that, but there were extenuating circumstances in each of those. As you'll see, all of these, events aren't taking place till January. The 4 weeks notice, was abided by in each of those circumstances. It's just there's such an array of, there are 12 different steps that need to, be followed for each of these items before they can end up on a board agenda. And sometimes, unfortunately, there are just some delays, and there were those delays in each of these circumstances. All of these items, we're proposing to put them on the consent agenda. So that means it would be item, the last T is T. So T and
I've got the last item currently is S, so we will have T. Side letter agreement.
Yep.
As proposed as item T and the out of county.
Right.
Item U.
Perfect. Thank you. And that is it. And there was just one slight, small typo that we found on resolution number 1175. This is on page 10, and that's specifically to the item designating authorized agents to sign school orders. So really just a small correction that was made there. Nothing further than that.
Thank you. Board, with that, I'm going to go out to you, or actually, let's go to public comment first. Is there anyone online who wishes to comment on the adoption of our agenda? Or in the room? Thank you. No public comment. Board discussion. Board, is there anything you'd like to comment on as far as what Dr. Adamson has presented, or anything for yourselves as far as the adoption of the agenda as presented?
Just to clarify, the consent agenda would be after that. If I wanted to pull something, that would be after.
When we get to the consent agenda, yeah, that would be a good time to
Double check.
pull that. Good question. I was thinking the same lines. So,
So the walk-on items are where? They're not in our packet, so where are they?
They are in your binder under revisions. I believe, yes. Yes, they're all there.
Oh, okay, thank you.
and as they are just getting to us, we can also take a minute when we take break to close session and take a look at those, because I would like to as well. Anything else from the board? Or is there a motion to adopt the agenda with the proposed changes?
I'll make such a motion.
Okay, motion from President Dr. Hazen
I'll second.
and second from Trustee Shamas. Dr. Adamson, or does he typically do the all in favor? Okay, I will do it. All in favor?
I will do the roll call though.
Oh, thank you. Okay, I got that out of the way at the first vote.
So all in favor, then I will go ahead and do the roll call. Yes, indeed.
Okay, all in favor?
President Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Aye.
Trustee Shamas.
Aye.
Trustee Rex.
Aye.
Okay, that passes 4 ayes and no one opposed. Okay, next we will move on to closed session. I'll identify the closed session topics. A, negotiations, collective bargaining session, planning and preparation with the PGTA for 2025-26. B, negotiations, collective bargaining session, planning and preparations with the CSEA for 2025-26. C, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, leave complaint, government code 54957. And D, student disciplinary action under education code 54957. Are there any public comments on these closed session topics? Any comment from the board? With that, I will adjourn to closed session and we will be returning for open session at 6 p.m. this evening. Okay. Okay, reconvening in open session. I am going to report out on the action taken in closed session. With regard to item A, negotiations, collective bargaining session, planning and prep with the PGTA for 25-26. Information was received. For item B, negotiations, collective bargaining session, planning and prep with the CSEA for school year 25-26. Information was received. And nothing, for item C, public employee discipline, dismissal, release, leave, complaint, information was received by the board. And for item D, student disciplinary action, the board voted in favor of a suspended expulsion in the case of student number 614830, effective immediately in accordance with the terms agreed upon by the student and family through the end of the year. Passed and adopted by the governing board of Pacific Grove Unified School District, school district on this date, December 11, 2025. 4 ayes, 0 noes, and 1 trustee absent. So passes unanimously. Okay, and with that, we can move on to the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Adamson, would you lead us in the pledge this evening? Thank you.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, thank you. And the next item on our agenda is Pacific Grove Community High Garden Collaboration Presentation. And I believe that is Principal O'Meara, who will be starting us off.
Good evening. I'd like to invite Hunter Hopkins up with me from Community High School. We both have printed notes, so we should be okay. Good evening, Greg O'Meara, Principal, Community High School here in Pacific Grove. We are honored to be able to share something very exciting with you tonight. The wonderful progress of the CHS Garden. I am here with Hunter Hopkins, Community High School student. Hunter, as you know, is serving as the PGUSD Student Board Representative this evening. Hunter also serves consistently and enthusiastically as the Community High School student rep at the combined PGHS, PGCHS School Site Council, which meets monthly. I have found her to be knowledgeable and engaged in the process of stakeholder engagement. And again, I want to thank her for being here tonight. Tonight's purpose is twofold. First, we want to give a short pictorial overview of the progress of the Community High School Garden. Secondly, and arguably most important, is to simply express our gratitude to the Board of Trustees and to district staff for continuing their support of our efforts at the Community High School Garden. It has led to tremendous progress. So let's get started with the short pictorial timeline. I guess I'll look straight ahead, and if I could just go ahead and advance to the first slide. We'll start with the storms that occurred back in 23-24, which essentially brought destruction and, dare I say, devastation to the community high school garden. And it was before Hunter and or I were both on the scene at community high school. But as you can see from the pictures, it's absolutely the opposite of what it looks like right now. So I would like, before we even go to the next slide, just make sure that these images are seared into your brain, because I'll ask you to refer back to them later. Okay, next slide. All right, let's a little shout out to John Anderson and his maintenance and operations crew, because back in 23-24, they began after the storms to, again, address what really was a shambles of the space in terms of just the devastation that was caused by the storms. So in terms of what they did, they did quite a bit, but tree removal, debris cleaning up, removing a shed and building a brand new one, fence repair, and just doing an assorted laundry list of repairs based on safety and future instruction. Okay, next slide. As we kind of move fast forward into 24-25, we go into our cleanup and our realization stage. And what I mean by that is once we began efforts in cleaning and trying to get that garden up and running, we realized that we needed to transition from ground labor to actual learning and functioning and curricular advancements. Next slide. This is where our collaboration with Me Earth out of Carmel is extremely important. In the spring of 2025, we were finally able to continue our collaboration with Me Earth, which was primarily concentrated on just continuing to get that garden cleaned out, get the debris cleared out, and essentially consulting with Me Earth on a weekly basis to in terms of our developing a vision for later that spring and what our vision was going to be like for this year. Next slide. So in August of 2025, knowing our vision of garden and environmental instruction, we began to clear out in earnest the garden in the summer of 2025. We had community volunteers. We'd like a big shout out to Bonnie Piper and Pam Weaver from our community who have jumped in last August and continue to work in our garden on a volunteer basis to help us move forward. September of this year, our garden instruction actually begins with Me Earth representatives coming to our school once a week and working with our students. And then also, just you can see from the pictures, again, I refer you back to your short-term memory with the very first slide or first or second slide and what the garden looked like, 18 months ago to what it looks like now. Next slide, please. Just in terms of some of the things that our students are doing in the garden, they're cultivating soil and adding nutrients and compost. They're planting new crops. They're adjusting irrigation systems that they themselves installed and laid into the ground. And we just want to reinforce that our labor intensive learning is starting to take impact, as you can see from the collaboration in the slides. I'm kind of going back and forth on the timeline, but late last year, our students, we were able to, at the very end of the year, go into the garden and actually build raised planter beds. So you see the green and yellow planter beds. Our students installed those. They built those, followed the instructions, got down on their hands and knees and put the dirt in, put the seeds in, and now they are flourishing flower beds. I wanted to again just mention the Me Earth and the CHS collaboration, because essentially our vision of of the garden itself is not just to have this beautiful garden that yields food and spices and just the things that we can use in our kitchen, but we want it to actually be a part of our science and environmental curriculum, and Me Earth truly helps us realize that vision. These pictures were actually taken at one of our Me Earth field trips, where we got to, the students, when I say we, I mean the students, really got to get their hands dirty, so to speak, on the actual curricular components of growing a garden and just knowing what it takes to pollinate and to use your knowledge of agriculture to plant the most viable products that you can. And this last slide, again, this very, very quick pictorial journey through the last 18 months, you can see these two pictures just are an absolute opposite of the destruction that I showed in the first couple of slides. And again, we just wanted to we encourage you to come out at any time to get a tour of the actual garden and see the things that we are growing. You can literally go down there and pick things off the vines and use them in your kitchen immediately. So enough of me talking. I have Hunter here to add to what I've already shared with you, and I'll hand it over to her at this point.
Thank you so much, Mr. O'Meara. Good evening, trustees and Superintendent Adamson. As you know, my name is Hunter Hopkins, and this is my first year attending community high school. It is also the 4th high school I have ever been to, and the only one where I've seemed to be successful at. One of the things that helps me to be successful at community are the small class sizes. This helps me be able to get more help from teachers when I need it. I feel more comfortable speaking up in class when there aren't 25 other kids, and I'm able to form better and deeper connections with my teachers and classmates. Another thing that I like at CHS is how we track our credits. Every time I complete a unit, finish an assignment, or participate in classroom discussion, I earn points. This helps me see my progress clearly and help me track how far away from graduation I am. In my past schools, I felt like I was being handed worksheets that never ended and just were to keep me busy until the next class period. Here, I feel like what I'm doing has purpose, and I feel very involved in my learning plan. The final thing I'm going to talk about that has impacted me at community high school is the garden. Every week on Wednesdays, Stuart Gardner, a partner with Me Earth from Carmel Valley, comes out to our school and helps us learn how to make our garden grow and thrive. He taught us how to germinate seeds, plant them, and then transplant them into bigger pots. Then we put them into the ground. He has helped us set up an irrigation system in 2 of our garden beds. I never would have thought that I could be able to do something like that. I would have just thought to water it by hand, but Stuart taught us how to plan, measure, and install irrigation systems, so it functions without extra labor every day. We also programmed a timer to water our plants every day. We had to set the time of day we wanted the water to go on, how long we wanted it to water for, and we had to troubleshoot kind of to figure out what would be best for our plants. Sorry. I now have more confidence in solving problems that are complex as a group. Another problem we had to work around was animal behavior. Since we're right near the forest, there's a lot of wildlife that wants to come and eat the food and vegetables that we're growing. We learned how to make bird deterrents using reflective tape. The birds don't like all the light and color, so they can leave our food alone. When we started this year, our garden was empty. We're now growing vegetables and have even recently planted flowers to create a pollinator garden. The garden has taught me about resolving problems, the importance of working as a team, and how to make use of what you have. It has also taught me the importance to know what the food you're putting, or where the food you are putting in your body has come from, and what it can do for you. I'd like to conclude by expressing my gratitude to the trustees and district staff for supporting our program at CHS, including the garden. Additionally, I'd like to thank my teachers at CHS, Sherry and Mansour, for their endless support. Finally, I'd like to thank Stuart Gardner from Me Earth, along with our community volunteers, Bonnie Piper and Pam Weaver, for their tremendous support. Thank you so much for letting me speak tonight.
A few things to say, and Hunter, I've got a certificate that I'd like to present to you this evening. But before we do that, I just want to say a few things. I've had the chance to get to know Hunter a little better in the last few weeks, but in particular in the last few days. Hunter's not only here this evening to present on this incredible garden program, but also to serve as our student board representative for this evening. So thank you, first of all, for that, Hunter. Thank you for sharing so much and starting out your story with a little bit about your experience at community high school. Talking to Hunter today, she had made the comment that, so many people she speaks to, she was just at a job interview, in fact, this morning, right? Yes. Or was it yesterday? Where, she talked about community high school and they didn't even know that our district had a community high school, and we're like, oh, they're two high schools. And so just your sharing a little bit more about your experience just is so important for us to hear. I know it's so important for our board to hear, because it just reiterates the importance of the program and what, we're doing for students like you, Hunter. So thank you for sharing that. And thank you so much for talking a little bit about your experience with the garden. It stood out to me, you talked so much about teamwork and in problem solving that came to mind, and how you've learned together to come together as a team. And that's really what speaks to me with the certificate I'm going to present you. It's our Culture of We certificate, which really identifies our 3 core values of belonging, safety, and prosperity. And everything you've spoken to tonight refers to those 3 core values. And so it's my honor to be able to present this to you. Thank you for sharing with us a little of your insight. I am going to be asking you about, maybe you've got some tips on how to, what plants do we need to be deer resistant? Because that's my problem I'm having in learning, being a new Pegrovian here. So I'll be asking you later. So it's my pleasure to present the certificate to you. Thank you, Hunter. Thank you. And we're going to take a quick photo with the trustees in front of the dais, and Assistant Superintendent John and Principal Amira, please.
You just open it up.
Okay. Thank you so much, Student Trustee Hopkins, for sharing your experience, and Principal O'Meara, and just a great example of the community partnerships that are being built and how they're really benefiting students. And so good for the mental health out there, just being in the garden and the soil and the dirt. So awesome. Thank you for sharing. I'll move on to the next part of our meeting, which is our annual organizational meeting as required by Ed Code. Shall I read? Okay.
We don't really talk about it. I think I'm going to take over this piece of it. What do you think, Jerry? And that way we can do the selection of our incoming and new president. So at this point, I have a script I'm going to be following, so apologies in advance. We will begin the organization part of our meeting as required by Education Code. We'd like to go ahead and consider nominations for the office of the president of the board. The term for the office of president is a 1-year term. There are no seconds required. Anyone may be nominated. You may nominate someone else or yourself. Once we have all of the nominations, we'll go back and in alphabetical order call for the votes. The first trustee to receive a majority of the votes, in this case that would be 3, will be elected for that office. Once elected, I will hand over the gavel to our new president, who will then assume leading the rest of the meeting. So I'm now going to ask our board, is there any nomination for the office of president?
Okay, I will nominate McNeary, presidency.
Trustee McNeary has been nominated. Are there any other nominations? All right. Well, at this time, we have a nomination for Trustee McNeary. Since there is only one nomination, there's no need to go alphabetically. All those in favor of electing Trustee McNeary for the office of president, please.
Sorry, a procedure one. I think we need a second according to the agenda
You
on
are
every
correct.
on that
Thank you.
motion.
Thank you, President Hazen. Yes, indeed. Do we have a second?
I will second.
Oh,
Ha,
no,
beat you to it.
he did.
Thank you. I have a second from President Hazen, President Dr. Hazen. Thank you.
And inadvertently, I skipped over, or we have a slot for public comment. And
Yes.
we'll need to do that as well. And I do see a hand
discussion.
up online. Brian Swanson, go ahead.
Right. Yes. Thank you so much. I'm going to turn my camera on. I don't know if it doesn't matter. Nobody needs to see me. I'm just going to jump in real quick. And I know I'm not supposed to comment on this particular thing, but I'm going to anyway, because I have 3 minutes. Community high school, amazing. It's like what is happening there and with that garden is just really remarkable. And I'm a bit verklempt even over what's going on there. I love all of our sites, but that in particular is just really remarkable. I do have some ideas about deer abatement, but we can talk about that offline. As far as you guys move forward, I just wanted to chime in and say I think the board is so great right now. You have a really remarkable group of people as I look at the dais right now and those online and chiming in and those present at the dais. It's just a really incredible group of people, and I'm just so proud of you all bringing your A game every time to these meetings, and it's not lost on me or the other people in the community that you're working so hard, and it's often a thankless task. But let me say thank you, and I'll leave it at that.
Thank you for your comment. Any other public comments on the election of president service for 1 year? Okay. With that, is there any further board discussion? Nope, we've got a motion and a second on the floor. Everything will be by roll call vote tonight. So Dr. Adamson, roll call vote.
Correct, yes, indeed. The final time I get to use this title, so Dr. President Hazen.
Aye.
Clerk McNeary.
Aye.
Trustee Shabazz.
Aye.
And Trustee Wax.
Aye.
There's a majority vote, and so I'd like to congratulate Trustee McNeary, who is our new president. Congratulations. And before you take over, I just have a few words to say to our former outgoing president, if you don't mind.
I was hoping you did.
Okay, good.
Go right ahead. Thank
All
you.
right, so I've got a few things written down, Elliot, which I'm going to go ahead and say. I wish you were here in the room so I could, but I can look up and see you on the screen. It's my honor on behalf of our board to recognize you this evening, Dr. Hazen, for your year of service as president. Your leadership, your dedication, and your unwavering passion for the work that we do for our students have left an indelible mark on our district and our community, and continues to do so. You're not leaving us, it's just in your role of president. You've led us this year as our president with a spirit of collaboration, integrity, and a genuine joy that's come through everything. It's that joy for serving our students, our families, and our staff. Your ability to navigate challenges that we face together with optimism while keeping your constant focus on the well-being of our children have been a source of inspiration to all of us around you. I think I can say with certainty that you've helped us all with brevity and staying on point, making us stronger and ever focused on staying on topic and within our time limits. So thank you for that. Thank you too for the many ways you've managed to always put our culture of we at the forefront of every decision we've made, while always approaching your responsibilities and decisions before us through that lens of our 3 core values of belonging, of safety, and prosperity, reminding us of the life lessons we stand to learn when we put our students first. On a personal note, I deeply appreciate your genuine enjoyment that you've brought to the time we've spent together. As superintendent and president, there's a lot of time that we spend planning and talking through things, and I've just deeply enjoyed that. This past year, despite everything you were juggling on your own personal front, you've led with gusto and joy, never letting it show and never skipping a beat, all the way through even last week at our CSBA conference, where you not only attended as a participant, but also presented at, which we'll be talking about a little bit more later on tonight. So tonight, on behalf of our board and our entire Pacific Grove community, Dr. Hazen, we extend our deepest thanks. Thank you for your thoughtful and valuable contributions, for your leadership as president, always bringing pure joy and heartfelt dedication to the work that we do together. And with that, if you were here in person, I would be presenting you with a wonderful gavel that has your name on, so you can look forward to that when you return. But that's really in recognition of your incredible work. So again, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and thank you for the entire team and board that has made my role so enjoyable.
Thank you for your words, Dr. Adamson, and thank you for your leadership and service throughout the year. Moving next we have item B, election of vice president clerk to serve for 1 year, and I'll turn it back over to Dr. Adamson, or shall I be? I will be running that. Okay. Got it. Okay. We'll start with nominations. And it says nominations do not need a second, but are there any nominations for vice president or clerk for next year?
I'll nominate trustee Shamos for vice president / clerk.
That's a nomination for trustee Shamos. Are there any other nominations? Okay, with one nomination, I'll go out to public comment on this item. Okay, board discussion. Any discussion about trustee Shamos? I don't know. Okay, we've got a motion and a second.
Or no?
Do we need a second? We don't need a second. Okay, thank you.
I apologize.
No worries. Okay, we have a nomination for trustee Shamos. We'll do a roll call vote.
And my apologies to our student board representative, because I have failed to include her in our vote so far. So I'm going to go ahead and start with our student board representative. You have a vote.
Aye.
Thank you, Hunter. Let's see. Trustee, I'm going to have to get used to this. Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Trustee Shamos.
Aye.
Trustee Wags.
Aye.
And President McNary.
Aye. Okay, that passes 4 votes in the affirmative and unanimously. Congratulations to Clerk Shamos. And thank you for stepping into the role.
You're welcome.
Okay, next on our agenda is the appointment of superintendent to serve as secretary of the board. And this is your item, Dr. Adamson.
That is correct. And this is just something part of our regular organizational component. As superintendent, I serve in that role as clerk. So really just need a formal vote to make this happen.
You serve as secretary.
I'm sorry, secretary to the board. That is correct. Thank you, President McNary.
We really emphasized that at CSBA this year, so it's in the front of my mind. Okay, the recommendation is that the board appoints the superintendent to serve as secretary to the board. Is there any public comment? None. Any board discussion on this item? This is routine and standard, and we renew it every year. Anything from you, Trustee Hazen? No. Okay, is there a motion?
I'll move to have Dr. Adamson be the board appointed superintendent to serve as the secretary to the board.
Okay, we've got a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made by trustee Wax and seconded by trustee Shamas or clerk Shamas. Roll call vote, please.
Student Board Representative, Ms. Hopkins.
Aye.
President McNary.
Aye.
Clerk Shamas.
Aye.
Trustee Wax.
Aye.
Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay. The vote is again 4 ayes and 0 noes with student trustee advisory vote as well. Thank you. Next up are resolution number 1175 designating authorized agents to sign school orders. And Dr. Adamson, this one is yours as well.
Correct. And this is also just something we have to do regularly, annually at our organizational meeting. And it merely provides authorization to the 3 staff members who are listed. It's myself, it's Assistant Superintendent John and Chief Rogerman to sign documents typically fiscal in nature as representative in representing the board. And so we really just need your approval on that for the next school year.
Thank you. Is there any public comment on this one? No. Okay, any board discussion on this item? And anyone like to make a motion?
I'll move, let me go back, to have Dr. Adamson be the designated authorized agent to sign school orders.
Okay, motion made by trustee Wax. I'll second the motion. Dr. Adamson, roll call vote.
One quick amendment should just on that should it also include Josh Jordan? So the motions for the superintendent and assistant, right?
Correct, yes. And that is what's stated in the resolution. It's Assistant Superintendent John and I believe our Chief Rogerman as well. Correct.
Thank you. Sorry, just to clarify since I'm not in the room.
Thank you for the clarification. We are at the point of roll call vote now.
Student Board Rep Hopkins.
Aye.
President McNary.
Aye.
Clerk Shamas.
Aye.
Trustee Wax.
Aye.
And Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you all. That is okay, next up, we have the designation of committee representatives. And we have 6 different subcommittees for which we have board members who are liaisons or board members on other boards. So every year we go through and appoint board members for these. I guess we will start with Monterey County School Board Executive Committee Liaison. Currently, I believe trustee Wax is our representative on that board. Does anyone have a desire to either take the position, or trustee Wax, do you have a desire to stay in the position? I'll leave it open to board discussion.
No, I'd be happy to pass the baton for MCBSA, have a different representative.
Okay. Does
Trustee Adler.
does anyone have any interest in this role?
Well,
Seeing none.
I mean, it could be one that we could, reach out to Trustee Alma, but without her being here this evening, I'm hesitant to say that.
Of course,
I know,
absolutely.
it depends on time.
I'll do this representative.
Thank you. And Trustee Wax, when are those meetings and how often?
No idea. Very infrequent,
Right.
but they're very cacophonous.
Right.
That's all I know.
That's a good word. All right, well, we appreciate you continuing on in that position, Trustee Wax.
Okay.
That's wonderful.
Thank you
And-
for your service. Yes, trustee president.
Happy to serve as an alternative on that or an alternate on that.
Thank
that
you,
is
trustee
needed.
Hazen. The next representative we have is Community Human Services, and that is actually you serve as a board member on their 16-member JPA, the local organization that provides substance use, homelessness, and mental health services. I am currently the representative for our board on that organization, and I also serve as a member of the transition committee because we are in the process of searching for a new CEO, hopefully to be hired early next year. So in order to finish that commitment and see it through, I'd like to stay on at least until that process is done or for the next year with CHS.
Godspeed.
I hear Godspeed. Any other feedback, thumbs up from Dr. Hazen? Okay. Okay, does anyone have any interest in serving as an alternate?
I could be an alternate.
Thank you. The next subcommittee we have is the Joint District and City of Pacific Grove Subcommittee. And can you refresh? Yeah.
Thank you for, so remember our new process in moving forward, beginning at the beginning of 2026, will be that we are meeting twice a year for the joint subcommittees because we are meeting quarterly, Assistant Super Dawn and myself with the entire city staff. And so as a result of that, because we're meeting more regularly, we're just doing the two joint meetings with the mayor present and the city manager. And really how we agreed for that moving forward, they are not having any council members serve on that joint committee. And really for us, we agreed it would really just be the president of the board who serves on that. And that would be you, President McNary, if you are in agreement with that.
I am in agreement with that. Yes, thank you for explaining. So
we would just need one alternate in the event you're unable to attend.
I would love to be the alternate if that's okay with folks.
absolutely, Dr. Hazen will be the alternate for the City District Subcommittee. Okay, up next is the Policy Subcommittee. Currently, Trustee Shamas and Trustee Otmar are the two trustees on that committee. Go ahead, Trustee Shamas.
I'll stay on that committee.
Okay, Trustee Shamas would like to remain on the Policy Committee. Is there any interest from other members of the board? Okay,
Sorry, I missed that. Who did we say is?
Trustee Shamas is going to be on the Policy
Okay.
Committee. I have an interest in the Policy Committee as well, so I am going to do that as well.
Both.
Uh-huh.
That's great.
So two trustees on that committee. Okay.
May I just propose for the next two, the facilities and budget, subcommittees, first of all, Assistant Super John just reminded me we have two trustees who serve on that. So it's not really even a primary and alternate.
It's
It's two.
And my preference would be if both those trustees for each of those committees are agreeable to it, that we keep the same trustees who are on the committee only because we've only just started in that process. So I would be asking for the Facilities Committee, Trustee Shamas and Trustee Wax, if you would both be willing to continue on that with the agreement of the rest of the board, of course.
yes.
Yes.
I'm in agreement.
Yep.
Nodding from Dr. Hazen as well. Okay.
And then the same would be true for the Budget Subcommittee, which would be Trustee Wax and Trustee McNary, if you would both be willing to continue serving.
I am, yes.
Due to Assistant Superintendent Jordan's helpful descriptions of everything, I would love to serve on the budget committee.
Wow.
Thank you.
Wow. Very nice.
Okay.
Love that. Okay. Very good.
Any other general discussion or further recommendations?
The thing that strikes me about the joint district and city meetings, and there are only two, since I have served in the past on this, the traffic commission, I feel like it'd be good to see if we could set up something a little more formal with the district and the traffic commission, because so many things come up that the traffic commission discusses, and they don't have any school representative to kind of give them information and vice versa. If we want something changed in traffic patterns or whatever. I mean, yes, you're gonna go to the police chief, but I think it's nice to be able to bring in the traffic committee and just in terms of more people understanding what, what the two organizations are doing with each other. So I'm just throwing it out there, and maybe when you guys do talk on the city committee, you can talk about that, because it was frustrating being on the traffic commission, because you have all these people that are very dedicated to helping. And you have people in the community that give all this input to, hey, this intersection needs this, and this pedestrian safety is not there. And there's some things I can think of that very much involve us and traffic. So I'm just throwing that out there as, I mean, I don't want to add to more committee meetings, but I just feel like that might be more helpful in a way. I don't know. When you're having your discussions in the city meetings, maybe you can talk about that. Like, hey, can we add another meeting where we just have the traffic commission and
I love that input, and I think that would be worthy of bringing to our next, because we're going to meet with the city staff prior to our first joint subcommittee meet. We're thinking either February or March. And so we could absolutely bring that forward to present at our first joint subcommittee, and maybe having someone, representative from their staff as part of those regular meetings. And then even in our regular quarterly staff meetings, I think that would be excellent. We love that input.
Thank you.
Well, also, it would be nice, I know this is maybe future topics, but the subcommittee meeting spoke about kind of the RHD traffic calming plan. So if there was a report or anything about the effects of that, it would be nice to hear, I guess.
So
I don't know if that was planned or
That actually,
even
yeah.
inviting them to come here and do it. Right.
Sure, and that actually came up in our city meeting. We actually had that yesterday. That was one of the topics. And so Assistant Soup John will be including a little bit of an update in his safety report tonight. And then absolutely that's going to be, a report out at our joint subcommittee meeting as well. But we had that discussion too, Trustee Shamaris, Clerk Shamaris, as far as, maybe having a little bit of a mini presentation at a future meeting here as well. So yeah, definitely.
Okay.
we move.
So I'm going to follow the agenda, and next up we've got if board discussion, or if there's any more discussion or further recommendations from the board. And I don't see anyone reaching for their mic. The next item is public comment, and there are no comments on this item. Back to board discussion. And if there isn't anything further, I think then we would need a motion to approve the selection of all of these identified subcommittee and committee members.
I'll move that we accept the designated board members on these listed committees.
Okay, motion made by Clerk Shamaris
I'll second.
and second by Trustee Wax. Roll call vote, please.
Student Board Rep Hopkins.
Aye.
President McNary.
Aye.
Clerk Shamaris.
Aye.
Trustee Wax.
Aye.
And Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously with one absent. Thank you, everyone. That completes, I think, the organizational portion of our meeting, and we will now get started with our more regular business with communications. And first up is the student board representative comments. So Trustee Hopkins.
Thank you. Over at PG Community High School, we're finishing off our fall semester really strong. We had a field trip on December 5th, so last Friday, and we went to Pebble Beach, the Pebble Beach Company. We got a tour of the campus, or the property, and we got introduced to managers and shown all the job opportunities that are available there to us after high school and while we're still in high school. There was a job fair going on a few hours ago there, and it's continuing in the morning, and a lot of us are attending there. to hopefully get hired to work at the AT&T event in February, I believe. And as we mentioned earlier, our garden really is doing amazing and we're having fun in it. And then over at Pacific Grove High School, it's winter sports / spirit week at Pacific Grove High School. Dress up spirit days all week. The winter sports rally is going to be tomorrow. Finals are next week, and the last day of the fall semester is Friday, December 19th, which will also be a minimum day. Thank you.
Thank you for that report. Next up on the agenda is board member comments and written communications. I will start with the written communications that I received, and if other board members have additional, feel free to add them. I received several emails regarding our mobile device policy, bell-to-bell, smartphone and watch requests, probably around 10 emails. I got a message about from Glendale Unified about the new ethics policy they've developed for school board members. I received a shout out to PGMS leadership students for reading at the elementary school on Ruby Bridges Day, generative AI in classrooms, and an email in support of the community high garden. Are there any others from folks on the board?
Just that we got emails regarding cell phone policy.
Yeah, I thought mobile device policy.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, but yes, we got multiple emails about that. Thank you.
Yeah.
I had a few additional 2 emails regarding recognition for PGHS sports. 1 email regarding concerns about an employee, 1 email regarding concerns about classroom instruction, and then I think the rest overlapped completely.
I had another communication about my Simpsons themed Die Hard Christmas decorations, and that was the only additional communication.
To your official board email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm. Just
Okay.
one.
I look forward to seeing them now. Simpsons Die Hard. At this time, student trustee Hopkins, thank you for your service and your presentation and your report, and we will be excusing you for this evening.
Thank you so much for the opportunity tonight.
Thank you both for
Thank
being
you.
here.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Next, so those were our written communications, and then we have board member communications as well. I'll start. My highlight this week was the PGMS and PGHS choir concert. Mrs. Blower and Mr. Mazer put together an incredible show. The songs were so much fun. They did a mashup of Silent Night and Peace on Earth, and it was just, the whole audience was singing. They really focused on peace and joy, and it felt just like a moment to breathe in this really busy time. And a little candlelit moment of peace in the auditorium at PGMS, and it, I don't know, it was really powerful. All of us joining in song and then kind of joining in silence too. So shout out to Mr. Mazer and his 0 period choir and Mrs. Bulwer and the Saturday morning choir, because that was just really awesome. A couple other more like routine, or I guess, I don't know. A couple other things. Adult school registration for classes is open. There's a new class on entrepreneurial mindset for adult learners, which looks really interesting and cool. But registration is open and classes begin in January. So very cool. I got my catalog in the mail. I will update the board briefly on our CEO search at Community Human Services. And that is to say that we have selected a pool of 5, narrowed it down to 5 candidates that we're going to do first round interviews with via Zoom. on December 19th and 22nd. And the hope is to have a finalist at the beginning of the year to meet the board and interview and hopefully begin leading that organization. So that has been some additional work that I've been participating in. And then also just for us board members, there's a new law that by January 1st, 2026, we all have to meet new state laws regarding ethics requirements, conflict of interest, reporting forms, stuff like that. So just something to be aware of. And that concludes my comments for tonight.
Is that, do we have to do training on that or is
We do have to do training.
it online or is it, do you know?
I completed the training once they held it in person. It was either CSBA or a local law firm, and I think there
There
may
are
be
options.
opportunities for
Mhm. Yes,
both. Yeah.
yes. And if you would like us to maybe gather some of that information to share with the trustees, the rest of the board.
I don't know. I mean, I don't, if the county is going to notify us or the district or.
A combination of both, I
Okay.
think, right? Lozano does some as well, but ideally if we could
Homework.
get some through the county, that would be
Okay.
wonderful. Yes, indeed. Yep.
And it might be worth thinking about as a board as a whole, particularly if there'd be cost savings. I don't know if that would be the case, but if we wanted to like do it as a governance type meeting, I don't know if that's possible, but
That's a good
we can all get
idea.
trained up.
Okay. We've got some options.
We actually have, Lou Lozano coming February, right, to our governance session. I know it would be, yeah, as long as we're in with the timeline, we could incorporate that in to that training session. We're in agreement with that. Mhm.
Sounds like a good idea for governance. Okay.
See whose turn is it?
It's your turn, Clerk Shamas. Mhm.
I wanted to just acknowledge the Pacific Grove High School football team, the varsity football team, and the varsity girls water polo team for getting the LG Bellissimo Sportsmanship Award. And I'm the only one who really ever met LG, but he was quite a You did too? Okay. Yes, well, he was quite an impressive person, and he did a lot for just the sports community, but he also was very instrumental in starting a program for drugs and alcohol for the high school students way back when. And so anyway, he was just a very nice man, and so it's meaningful is what I'm trying to get at. It's a meaningful award, and we should be proud of our football team and the water polo, the girls, for earning that award. And then I want to thank Elliot for being the president. I appreciate that he's so prompt in his responses. Like if you have a concern, like he is on it. Like he gets right back to you, and I really appreciated that, Elliot. And I also appreciated the board president is the person who responds to any questions that the public has. Even though we get that same email, it's more efficient, and it's our procedure that we have the board president be the spokesperson and respond to those emails. And so Elliot did such a wonderful job. Just had the right kind of sentiment. You were always very respectful to anyone who wrote to us, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate how you crafted it, and I'm sure Jennifer is going to do just as well. And then lastly, I'd just like to say, I'd like to just remind all of us about Gary Williams, who passed away. And again, I guess I have to say how old I am, but Gary's sister Gary Williams was a kindergarten teacher for us for many, many years. And he was just a phenomenal teacher. Like he's one of those people that, like, I don't know, he should have been he was like Seth Meyers or something, I mean, he was just so, he attracted the kids in ways that, is so special. And he was a male kindergarten teacher when there were no male kindergarten teachers. And he was a Black male kindergarten teachers when there wasn't any. And so he was just that, he just encompassed so many different parts of humanity that I just remember my kids being so impressed with him when they were little and they just happened to meet him. What I was going to say was his sister was really best friends with my sister. And so I knew his sister better than I knew Gary, but that's how I met Gary, on a personal level. So anyway, I just want to say that if anyone can think of something to name after Gary, I just think it would be cool because he just was that special and he deserves a lasting legacy in our district. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Shamas.
I'm sorry to Gary's family and bummed to have never met him. That was a lovely tribute. Let's see. I would also like to second the great execution of the PGMS middle school choir concert mixed in with the high school. It was really beautiful. Great job, everyone. I was out the week before, but I also heard the elementary choir concert was cute as could be and sounded just as good as the middle school in high school. And that's, and I would also like to thank former President Dr. Hazen and former clerk McNary to really make like the first year of this board a great experience. And well, trustee or clerk Shamas has more experience. It was basically my first impression of a board, and it's a very high bar. So great job, both of y'all. And I also second Clerk Shamas's belief and knowledge that you'll do just as great.
Yeah.
But I appreciate everyone. Ooh, I would like one more thing. This is a separate, I interrupted myself. Anyways, great job. I don't think I should use the name, but we have a teacher at Forest Grove who's about to finish her master's tonight online. So big shout out and congratulations to her. And when I was speaking with her, she appreciated Dr. Adamson's support in her continued education. So great job supporting the growth of our staff, and it's really great to keep excellent teachers like Gary Williams, but we have a whole crop of great teachers right now. So gotta find lots of the stuff to name in the future. So that's it.
Thank you, Trustee Wax. Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Thank you so much. I wanted to focus a bit on first just thanking everyone for the kind words. Again, there is no individuality even to the role of president, no extra power. It's really made great by the success of the board. So I really appreciate all of you in supporting me in that role, and very happy to pass the gavel to President McNary, who I think, as everyone has said, will do a equally, if not much better job than I did. Then wanted to talk just a little bit about our recent time at CSBA. I don't think this is on the agenda later, so I was just going to mention a little bit about it now. It was mentioned, I think Dr. Adamson might talk a little bit about it as well, but we did lead a workshop with myself, the superintendent from San Mateo, and our
President Hazen.
Oh yeah, is it coming up later?
We do have an agenda item on this topic. Would you like to save your comments for that?
Yep, I thought we had kept it just as comments for here.
Awesome.
So thank you for updating me. I'll pause and yield the mic.
Yeah, save them, please. Okay, thank you, board members. Superintendent report, Dr. Adamson.
Wonderful. Well, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Once again, I'm framing my report this evening around our 3 core values of safety, belonging, and prosperity. Under the core value of safety, where I'm starting, there are 2 key highlights that I really feel are important to begin with. The first really refers to last Tuesday, where Forest Grove Elementary experienced a major water line break, which resulted in, as we all know, a full day of school closure and the use of temporary restrooms and hand washing stations when we reopened. While certainly not an ideal situation, it was definitely one that was unavoidable, unfortunately. But I'd like to just extend my sincere appreciation to our Forest Grove staff, our students, our families for their patience, their flexibility, and their trust throughout the week. A special thank you to Director John Anderson, who's here at the back of the room with us this evening, and our entire MOT team, who worked tirelessly late into many evenings throughout the weekend to restore water service in time for school to reopen this past Monday. Their commitment to the safety and well-being of our students and staff is nothing short of extraordinary. I'd like to specifically call out the following 7 MOT team members who were here most evenings in the majority of this past weekend. Obviously, Director John Anderson, Mr. Cliff Houston, Mr. Robert Bullis, Mr. Ryan Pryor, Mr. Jeff Statzman, Mr. Matt Davis, and Mr. Robert Tashio. I just want to recognize as well Principal Arboon for her leadership through this process, along with all cabinet members and interim superintendents John and Rogerman, who together led with calm, steady oversight during my absence last week. Their combined leadership reflects the strength of our entire leadership team and the deep level of support that we have across this district. Second, also under the area of safety, this past week we navigated the temporary relocation of our UPK classroom from Forest Grove to the David Avenue site. Beginning January 6th, our UPK program will operate at the David Avenue campus while we complete the final licensing step for our Forest Grove classroom. My gratitude goes out to our entire UPK teachers and staff, Principal Arboon, Principal Martinez, and our district office team, all of whom have been exceptionally proactive in preparing for this transition to make it as minimally disruptive as possible. Continuity has been at the center of every decision made for our youngest learners in this case. We'll remain in close communication with our UPK families in the future weeks and continue to support them throughout the short-term relocation. A special thank you to our families for their patience and understanding. As one parent said at our parent meeting that we held last night, we are all in this together. In the second area of belonging, this afternoon I had the joy of attending the Adult School ESL Cultural Holiday Celebration. It was an extraordinary event that brought together learners representing several countries, languages, and traditions. I have a picture that's up on the screen for you to look at and admire. Our adult learners proudly shared fashion, music, poems, dances, and stories that reflect the richness of their cultural identities. It was a delight, is all I can say. More importantly, a powerful reminder that cultural proficiency is not just an initiative at PGUSD. It's alive, thriving, and woven into the daily experience of our students and families. The sense of pride, connection, and community in that room was just inspiring. Thanks to Principal Martinez and Assistant Principal Arps and their entire team for organizing such a joyful event. This week, Harmony at Home launched a new lunchtime club at Pacific Grove High School focused on belonging, connection, and bully prevention strategies. The club began this past Tuesday and will continue weekly. We're grateful for that partnership and for the proactive support that it offers our students. And then, of course, as many of you have mentioned, December is a joyful time in our district with many ways to demonstrate belonging, and this year was no exception. Our PGUSD transportation bus participated in PG's Parade of Lights last week, and I'm proud to say, yes, there's the photo on the screen, they won the Jolly Jester Award for Most Humorous Entry. A big thank you to our creative and enthusiastic MOT team for bringing that spirit to life. Look at that bus. Oh, my goodness. Also last week, as you've all mentioned, our students helped bring the season alive at the city tree lighting. I cannot tell you how many people have said they simply stole the show. And then, of course, Forest Grove, Robert Down, and Pacific Grove Middle School students didn't disappoint with their display of festive music during our winter concerts last week. Next week, we look forward to celebrating our middle school and high school vocal and instrumental concerts. And as has been said already, thank you to Mr. Mazer, Ms. Priest, Ms. Bullware, and Dr. Warren for cultivating such remarkable talent and giving our students and families the gift of music during this festive season. Moving on to our final area of prosperity, we're incredibly proud to announce that last week, our two PG High School varsity teams, as you mentioned, Trustee Shamas, earned the prestigious LG Belizio Sportsmanship Team Award. Congratulations to our varsity football and varsity girls water polo teams. The honor reflects the character, integrity, and leadership of our student athletes and coaches and lifts up the values we aspire to across our district. Then, for the first time in several years, we were able to administer the PSAT on our own Pacific Grove High School campus a few weeks back. Special thanks to Mr. Kent Leatham and Principal O'Meara. Just a few highlights from that. We had a total of 57 high school students who were tested, 27 sophomores and 30 juniors. The average score was 1,128, which is 137 points higher than the California average and 174 points higher than the national average. And then an impressive 77% of our students met or exceeded both benchmarks for surpassing state and national performance. So really something to be proud of and celebrate. I really think that those results reflect just the hard work of our students and the collective efforts of our teachers, counselors, and administrators who support that readiness and growth. And then finally, I just want to acknowledge the participation of 3 of our trustees at last week's CSBA conference in Sacramento, and my heartfelt thanks to President Hazem for leading our district's presentation in one of those sessions. Our session highlighted how PGUSD has approached effective governance amidst challenging circumstances by staying rooted in shared values, collaborative processes, and transparent communication. In closing, I just want to, express to everyone as we move through these final days before winter break, just thank you to our entire community, our students, staff, families, trustees. This time of year can be both joyful, but also a little overwhelming. But it's all with support, resilience, and generosity that we're able to make this feel like a family. This will be my 3rd holiday season here in Pacific Grove, and I can already tell it's turning out to be the most joyful. I cannot express how grateful I am to be a part of this amazing, just special, beautiful community. I just count my blessings every single day. So just to each of you, I wish you a restful, restorative holiday season, taking time to just be present and spend time with those we love and with our family and friends. With that, back to you, President McNary.
Thank you, Dr. Adamson. Clerk Shamas, I just remembered my Gary Williams story, and I was lucky enough that my children had him as a substitute teacher in kindergarten. And he showed up to school that day in his full apron with a very large live fish. And that was what the kids got to experience that day at school, was touching a fish. And it was just so far from what I would ever expect to see in a kindergarten classroom. And they were enthralled, enthusiastic. And like you said, he just attracted everyone's energy. It was so neat. So anyways, that's my little fish in kindergarten, just Gary Williams.
To add to that, you had mentioned something named, and I just want to make it known that is something Principal Brownfield is already working on with their staff, and she's, going to be bringing something forward. So that is in the works, Trustee Shamas. Yes, indeed.
Thank you. Up next, safety report, Assistant Superintendent Jorn.
Thank you, President McNary. So I have an abbreviated version of our safety update tonight. Normally I do prepare a presentation and it would have been in the board packet, but we had a couple of items that came up recently I'd like to report out. So just briefly, again, I want to echo a big shout out to Director Anderson, Robert Bolus, Cliff Houston, Matt Davis, Jeff Stutzman, Ryan Pryor, and Robert Toshio for their dedicated support to Forest Grove with the water line rupture. They all worked very, very early mornings, very late nights, and over 2 weekends to support the school. And I can tell you that when repairs failed on multiple occasions, they were a little bit defeated, but they never gave up, and their resolve to secure the water back to the campus to maintain normal operations for our students and our staff. So again, I felt like it was important to bring that up. And again, it felt like it was a part of our safety update tonight related to school safety. And then Dr. Adamson mentioned this earlier. We had a meeting with the City of Pacific Grove yesterday. And as it relates to the Pine Street drop off in front of Robert Down, the original draft conceptual layout for Robert Down Elementary cannot be implemented as originally designed. Several of the proposed elements did not comply with California Vehicle Code. Some of those examples might be using non-standard signage. There was a proposed merge across a double white line and potential pedestrian conflicts at the Fountain Avenue Street. Phase 1, however, of this project. The abbreviated version will include updated signage, installation of yellow delineators along the center line, and refreshed curb markings, as well as no U-turn signage across the double yellow line. The city will be following up with field observations to assess the effectiveness of those improvements and ultimately present those findings to the Traffic Commission. PGUSD leadership and city council will also review those as a final project recommendation. The design, of course, can be revised at any time, and the city plans to receive community feedback so Public Works can implement any of the suggested improvements in the second phased implementation. I did share this information with Principal Brownfield. She'll be sharing that out with her traffic committee as well as in her newsletter. And that's it for me tonight.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is individuals desiring to address the board, and this is going to be public comment on any item of interest to the public that's within the board's jurisdiction. We will also take public comment on each specific action item before any action is taken. The board will allow a reasonable time for public comment, not to exceed 3 minutes per speaker and no more than 20 minutes per item. This is a meeting of the Board of Education. It's a business meeting of the board conducted in public. And please note the Brown Act limits our ability to respond to any public comment. So with that, we will begin with community members wishing to address the board on non-agenda items. I see none in the room and I see one online. Caitlin Van Zanten, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. I hope I'm speaking at the right time. Dr. Adamson said it would be okay to address this issue just during public comment. I am a parent of 2 elementary school children, and I also co-founded Smartphone Free Kids Monterey Bay, which is the parent group that we created to support networks for parents who want to delay buying their kids smartphones until they're at least 16 years old. I reviewed the new mobile device policy that you are set to vote on tonight, and I'm hoping that in the future you will consider bringing forward a more restrictive policy specifically for the high school. At the November 6th meeting, it was mentioned that these policies can remain in place for years, and so I'm hoping that you will bring this one back up for consideration sooner rather than later, if you end up voting to move forward with it tonight. I'd really like to see a bell-to-bell ban that requires mobile devices to be stored for the entirety of the school day. Allowing kids to access their mobile devices during passing times and lunch times is a problem, and I think it's also really difficult when the teachers have to collect them at the beginning of each period and then hand them back out again. It puts a lot of responsibility on our teachers that they, didn't sign up for initially, and it also wastes valuable instructional time. We have a lot more information about smartphones and how they impact learning than we did even a year ago. Some of the latest research shows that it can take people 20 minutes to refocus their attention on a task after looking at their smartphones. So if you've got a student who's scrolling through TikTok in the hallway, it could take them up to 20 minutes before they're ready to focus on their lessons once they get them back into the class. We also have more data on how beneficial these bell-to-bell bans are. There was a recent paper that studied bell-to-bell bans in Florida. They found significant improvements in student test scores, and they also found that chronic absenteeism went down. But that didn't happen until the second year of these bans. And so I think it's important to do them sooner rather than later. I also spoke to one of the authors of the Phone Free Schools Act at the end of last month, and he said, and I'm going to quote him, when I was asking about the intention of his bill, he said, "I think the best implementation of this bill is going to be an environment where the phones are the most restricted. I think you're going to get the best results when you actually restrict them for most of the day or the whole day." So I'd really like to see us have these phones put away for the whole day so that our kids can just have a break from the distraction. They can focus on their friends, they can focus on their teachers, and they don't have this constant full pull of a device away from their studies. Thanks so much.
Thank you for your comments. Any other public comments on non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to PGUSD staff comments on non-agenda items. We have one online. We'll take the one in the room first. Dr. Hagquist.
Good evening, trustees. Larry Hagquist, Executive Director of Educational Services. I just wanted to, this was news to me about Gary Williams, and it's just, it's heartbreaking news. And I had his children in my classes, Allie and Jared and Jordan, and my heart goes out to the Williams family. Did want to share with the board that when I was a leadership teacher at the high school, I was in charge of doing the Hall of Fame inductions, and we were able to induct Gary into the Hall of Fame at Pacific Grove High School, and he deserves that, absolutely deserves that. He is a legend of Pacific Grove. If you ever had a chance to meet him, he's just one of those guys that, you'll have a lifelong impression when you meet him. So my heart goes out to the family, and just wanted to share that news about the Hall of Fame.
Thank you for your comments. We have one online. I'm sorry. I believe it's Casey Aliotti. It's hard for me to see from this distance. Go ahead, Casey.
Hi, good evening, everyone. I want to say thank you, all of you, for your time at this meeting tonight. It's really important that people that would like to have an opinion participate on a regular basis and attend, not just when their own agenda items are present, so that they have a conceptual idea of the district as a whole. Since this is a school district board meeting, it affects all of the school campuses, not just TK or high school aged enrolled students. I'm a parent that's slightly aging out, but I've seen it without tunnel vision from generational standpoint. And I just wanted to make a comment earlier. I don't know if my hand was raised at the appropriate time about the school board policy on cell phones. I think that as a parent of a high school student, it is imperative that my senior student, as well as when she was a freshman, have her cell phone on her. It's a safety concern. My student is dual enrollment. She has been since she was a freshman. She was a new driver. She would go out of the county for sporting events. And at any point in time, I would not be comfortable with her not having her cell phone on her at any point in time. I think as a parent, I felt her to be responsible enough to issue her a phone. And there, see something, say something. She wouldn't be able to utilize that feature. And if you don't, me personally, if I didn't think she was responsible enough to have a cell phone, then I wouldn't have provided her one. So I would like my opinion also noted in the notes. I hope you all have a wonderful and safe holiday season. And I hope that for the ones upcoming, if the technology changes in the next decade, then I would hope that the school board at that time would then update the policy. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else wishing to speak at public comment? PGUSD staff. This is supposed to be staff.
So Linda stole my thunder, but she didn't have the trophy to show off. So this is the trophy that our bus won in the Parade of Lights. They won for the most humorous, and this is the Jolly Jester. And so I just had to show it to everybody. And I'm just kind of like, it's almost like a proud dad moment when my team does something like this. And in the same week, we're dealing with, no water at one of our schools. And this is, I got to tell you how much I love my crew. We had all the fittings glued, and we needed to keep the water off the fittings for like an hour. And I told everybody, go ride in that bus. I'll man the pumps. And it just felt like the right thing to do. And they had a blast. And I'm just glad under that same week, we had so much stress. We had that kind of relief. So kudos to my crew. I couldn't be more proud. And they really show that we are a district of we, and we care, and we went beyond and above in two different things in 1 week and knocked them both out of the park. So love my team.
Thank you for your comments. I'm curious where the trophy is going to live at the district. It's a district. Oh, right on. The bus looked awesome. That was the first time I had seen it. So thank you for sharing. That was so neat. Any other PGUSD staff comments on non-agenda items? Okay, seeing none, we will move on to consent agenda. Items on the consent agenda are considered to be routine and or may have been discussed at a previous meeting. There is no discussion of these items prior to the board vote unless a member of the board requests specific item or items be discussed or removed, pulled from the consent agenda. Each item on the consent agenda approved by the board shall be deemed to have been considered in full and adopted as recommended. So we have tonight, board, the consent agenda, which as we added now goes through item U. I'll begin with public comment on the consent agenda. No public comment on the consent agenda, and then okay, there's one hand up. Go ahead, Lauren. You have the floor. You're on mute right now, so we can't, there you go. Go ahead.
Right. Okay, hi. I'm Lauren Heflin. I'm a parent of a kindergartner at Robert Down Elementary, and I am one of the co-founders of Smartphone Free Kids Monterey Bay. And I am commenting on the mobile device policy. And I would, like Caitlin, strongly support a full day cell phone ban for our schools. We're really building a lot of support of local families who are concerned about the use of smartphones for children and their potential negative effects for development and learning. Right now, we have 260 children on our pledge, so it's very exciting since we just started in September. Over half of those, or even more than half, are PGUSD students. So it's something that there's a lot of reasons that we've gone over, attention, divided attention, impacting social interaction, reasons why this is so important to have a very strict policy towards cell phone use. And I would love to just commend our principals in the lower grades at elementary and middle for enacting a very strict cell phone policy. And it's, I think, really contributed to a positive community feel on those campuses, great social interaction at lunchtime. And so I just would love to see that continue on at the high school level as well. And those are my thoughts. And I understand the policy now likely is not going to be changed at this moment, but it is a concern of mine, and we'll be continuing to provide feedback on this topic. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments. Seeing no further public comment on the consent agenda, board discussion, and I think I'll go first if that works. I am going to be pulling consent item currently O, the PGHS course catalog for 26-27, and ask that we place that as a separate action item to discuss.
And I would like to pull item C, the approval of the CSBA board policy updates, most specifically to give a chance to talk about the cell phone and mobile device policies.
Well, I'm just proposing that maybe we'd put those under action, right?
Right.
And would it be AA then
That
for
was
the
my
course
question.
catalog, and then BB for the CSBA board policy update? How does that sound? Yep.
Okay, are there any further items to pull before we approve consent as a batch, or any further board discussion? Okay, now looking for a motion.
I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as readjusted with the two pulled items later on.
Okay, motion made by Clerk Shamos,
I'll second.
second by Trustee Hazen. Dr. Adamson, roll call vote, please.
President McNary,
Aye.
Clerk Shamas,
Aye.
Trustee Wax,
Aye.
Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, that passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for your votes and your contributions. We will move on to action discussion, and the first item up there will be the PGHS course catalog, which we just pulled. Principal O'Meara, I know we had not, this wasn't initially on action or discussion, but I appreciate that you're here. Just this is an item that typically like the public is interested in and what we're doing and adjustments made. So I just thought it would be good for us to take a look at it a bit. Any discussion from the board?
I really appreciate that in the cover sheet that the updated items are listed, because it's always, as a board member, it's very helpful to know, like, okay, what am I looking at that's different? And also, I think even for the general public to review, it's helpful. But I think that this is a good thing for the public to look at and to be very, transparent. These are the offerings we have, and this is what your high school is all about.
Thank you. Had one question, and it's, will this be translated into Spanish or any other languages for families? Do we typically translate the course catalog to Spanish for those families?
Certainly can be, and I'm not sure of the past precedent or past practice, but
Yeah.
I can certainly get that moving forward.
Yes, please.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
I think that would definitely be something we'd look at as, at the staff level, only because there is I don't think currently we do all of our communication, there is a sort of a cutoff as a percentage of your population who, speaks a certain language. And in this case, you're inquiring about Spanish. And I don't think any of our schools, and I stand to be corrected, meet that threshold currently. I think in this case, perhaps it's something we can look at that because of the nature of the content of it. But typically, I don't believe that is something that we currently do unless we, meet that certain percentage, which I think is 15%, Dr. Hyquist, right, of our population, if they speak, it could be any language for that matter, right? And I think the reason for that is a, educational code, guideline we have to follow. If you do one without meeting that, that's the criteria of following that, then why aren't we doing other languages as well? But I think in this case, we can absolutely speak to the fact, given the nature of the content, that, we could consider that, yes.
Board, anything further on this item? Okay, since I pulled it, I will, thank you, Principal O'Meara.
Okay, could I just make a quick comment?
Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't realize you were.
Well, yeah, I just wanted to express my gratitude to my staff. Just incredible process of collaboration, meeting with every department, multiple meetings with many departments around descriptions and prerequisites and pathways. And, I just wanted to acknowledge to the board that this certainly is an important item, and we want to be as transparent as possible. Being as comprehensive as it is with all of our offerings and our dual enrollment pathways and our CTE opportunities for students, is quite the read. And I just wanted to just express my gratitude to my staff, who I know are of course listening online and watching online, and many of them wished me luck tonight as we brought this this comprehensive project to the board. So thank you.
Thank you. a very large lift and a team effort. As a parent who's going to have a high schooler next year, I definitely looked at the catalog with a bit different lens, just trying to understand what the options are and the pathways like you spoke about. So thank you, because this is a big ask, and thank you for looking into the language piece as well. Okay. Let's see. I will then make the motion to approve the 2026-2027 course catalog for Pacific Grove High School. Is there a second?
I'll second.
A second from trustee Dr. Hazen, and a roll call vote.
President McNary,
Aye.
Clerk Shamos,
Aye.
Trustee Wax,
Aye.
and Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
That passes unanimously. Thank you all. Next item on our action discussion is going to be item BB, which is the CSBA policy update. And trustee Wax, go ahead.
Yeah, I appreciate the board allowing me to pull this. And I realized that we had information and discussion last month. And this was kind of just the approval part. But since the last month's meeting, there have been a number of emails kind of as Miss Conrad and Miss Heflin commented, advocating for a stricter policy. And I see the logic in that to a point, but of course there are other viewpoints. So why I pulled this was basically to kind of open it up more to the community. I'm not necessarily opposed to accepting or voting on these tonight, but I do think there should be like a more holistic conversation within the district about technology and devices that somehow engages the public more. Because I think we as a society have been kind of just rolling along, and there are some negative aspects, I think. And I think in terms of spending and our policy, there may not be a defined benefit. And so I think we just should take a more concerted look. I know Trustee Shamos and Trustee Amar really worked out the policy on the subcommittee, and I appreciate that. But I just think there can be an opportunity for more community discussion about this in the future, at least, and maybe even throughout the year. That's why I brought it up. And real quick, I do appreciate the organization of the parents, I believe mostly around RHD, but I personally would love to hear from staff, faculty, and parents from all sides to give me myself a better impression of what people are feeling, because in my own household, it's something that I grapple with, and my daughter has a watch and 1,000 devices just like myself, and there is definitely a change that happens, I feel. So if I could just personally get more anecdotes about what families are experiencing, good and bad, etc., that would be appreciated.
Yes, thank you, trustee Wax. Dr. Hazen, you have your hand up. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, just to comment on this as well, because I do think it's important to note that this is the kind of policy that is evolving much quicker than some of the other ones. While there are policies that do stick for a very long time, I think there is a lot of information coming out here that will be influencing us as a board, and I think even most importantly, us as a district. And so I just want to make the point that don't see us as putting this issue to bed, but I see this as taking the next step to be ahead of things so that we can gather the information, like Trustee Wax said, to make the next decision. So I appreciate that discussion, but also
Thank you for
appreciate
that.
what the policy committee did here.
Thank you for that. So a continued discussion. We're not going to close the door on the issue tonight. We'll continue the conversation. I guess as well, this could go back to policy committee, but it very recently was at policy committee, and this is the update currently recommended by the state. So
I wonder if I could just speak to just a couple of things that have come up and also hearing from some of our parents this evening. I think a couple of things to keep in mind. Number one, this policy that's before us on the update tonight is it's not our cell phone usage policy. It is this, what we've done here is actually added more language that actually makes, the use of student personal devices more restrictive. So we're actually saying, moving forward, once this is approved, that students cannot bring their own personal devices. We're only permitting them to use their district issued Chromebooks in class. Currently, we have had some situations where students are bringing in their own, and that makes it almost impossible for us to, sort of monitor and provide security for, what they're accessing on those devices. So I think that I want to make that very clear, number one. And the cell phone, policy, we did, a recent sort of update to that policy within the last few months. I absolutely agree. I think that is continuing to evolve. I even feel there may be more, directives that we receive at the state level, in the coming months, because we're seeing districts, across the state, really across the nation, take action there. So I believe that this will be an ongoing, active discussion in the coming months. So absolutely, as that occurs, we will bring that forward to the board for updates. As you know, right now, we do not have use of our cell phones at all at the elementary and middle school level. It's really only at the high school where we have, pretty restrictive, guidelines in place. At this actively currently, Principal O'Meara with his staff collectively, they are looking at what those practices are. And there is a movement and sort of a desire from the staff currently to make those practices more restrictive. So you are going to be seeing that in the coming months as they come together to make some decisions there. And without doing specifics, something they are looking at as a staff currently is the use of and access to cell phones in between, class periods currently. The policy at the high school currently is that students are not permitted to use them during class. They are collected by teachers, but they can use them in between passing periods and at break and lunch. So again, as I said, they're looking at making that more restrictive. And as that comes forward, that would be things we bring forward to the board. And then the only other open component to all of this is our revised ed tech plan, which, our technology team is actively working on. They are gathering input from students, from our community, and that will be coming before the board in the coming months as well. So that's also going to, really, I think, guide and inform, decisions that we're making on our cell phone usage as well. So a lot at work currently. All we're doing tonight in approving this is really adding more restrictive language, which I think is what we want. And that's not to say that more is not coming.
thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just in the kind of broader ed tech plan too, I think it's sort of like previous issues that we've voted on. I would like to try and get more evidence about its benefits in teaching, or like its efficacy in teaching something better, because some of the emails that we received noted this, but it's not as if scores and subjects have gone up the higher the prevalence of devices have been in the classroom. So I would like to be more what's a good word? Evidence-based, that's good, yes. About our approach, and not just kind of roll with the general trends necessarily. I appreciate everyone's comments and the discussion.
Thank you. Thank you for pulling it, and the discussion. With that, if there is no further, did we hit public comment on this one? I think I did, but that's okay. Public comment.
That was about consent.
Is there any public comment on the CSBA policy update for September 2025? Okay, seeing none in the room and none online, is there a motion?
Sure. I'll move to accept the CSBA policies. I'm gonna mess up the phrasing. The board policy updates for September 2020. Actually, I have one more question. This is possibly a typo. On the checklist, it says information discussion November 6th, consent November 20th, 2025. I don't know if that is.
It looks like a typo. That was when we were gonna have our
Last meeting.
special meeting, but it didn't occur that day. So I imagine this got pushed to today's meeting, so.
Okay, with that interruption, I now move to approve the CSBA board policy updates for now for September 2025.
Okay, motion is made to approve the update as presented. Is there a second on the floor?
I'll second that.
Second, motion made by trustee Wack, seconded by clerk Shamas. Roll call vote, please.
President McNary,
Aye.
Clerk Shamas,
Aye.
Trustee Wax,
Aye.
and Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously, 4 ayes. Moving on to the action discussion items that appear on our printed agenda. First up, we have item A, the Monterey County School Board Association 2026 Excellence in Education Award recommendations. And this is your item, Dr. Adamson.
Thank you. And as usual, at this time of year, we bring forward a list of exceptional organizations that we would like to consider for nominating as our selection from our district for this Excellence in Education Award. So at this time, I'm going to ask the board for maybe 1, 2, even 3 nominations that we'd like to make.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Adamson. First, I will go out to public comment on this item, and then we'll return for board discussion. No public comment on this item. Board discussion, would anybody like to begin with their nominations?
I wish they wouldn't do this to us. First of all, there's too many. And I really don't know why we have to vote on it. It should just be the county. Go ahead and vote on it. So I don't have, they all are very noteworthy and.
Perhaps you should serve on the MCSBA.
Yeah, this sounds like,
Perhaps I not.
No.
okay. And so
Whatever you guys want, I'll go with because I looked at all of them and some of them I know, some of them I don't know. And I'm just like, I don't feel like choosing one or 2 or 3.
understood. Any other trustees want to weigh in?
I would nominate the Read to Me project.
Okay. One nomination for Read to Me. Dr. Hazen, go ahead.
I was going to nominate one of our hometown ones in the PG Museum, Naturalist Museum.
Okay. And my vote was for the Monterey Peninsula College Basic Needs Program.
Okay, there's 3.
Okay.
That was also my second vote for my.
Okay, cool.
So let's see. With that, we have Read to Me, the Pacific Grove Museum, and the MPC Basic Needs Program. We do need motion and an approval. Okay. I will make the motion to approve or to recommend 3 organizations, Read to Me, Pacific Grove Museum, and the Monterey Peninsula College Basic Needs Program for the Monterey County School Board's Excellence in Education Award.
I second it.
Thank you. Motion is made by myself and seconded by trustee Wax. Roll call vote, please.
President McNary,
Aye.
Clerk Shamas,
Aye.
Trustee Wax,
Aye.
and Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Thank you. Okay. Before you begin, can we please take a 5-minute recess and then we will reconvene at 7:52-ish. Thank you. Okay. We're going to return from our short recess and dive right into the 2025-26 first interim report with Assistant Superintendent Jorn.
Thank you, President McNary. All right, so tonight I'll be walking us through the 25-26 first interim report. This gives a snapshot of where our district finances stand as of October 31st, 2025. What I'll be sharing is an overview of our current financial position and our projections for the rest of the fiscal year. That includes a look at revenue, expenditures, and any shift in pressures that may be emerging within our budget. Ultimately, the purpose tonight for first interim is to make sure we remain on track and to surface any areas that we may need to adjust, plan ahead for, or provide additional support or input to, which we will garner from the board. Our first interim report is due to the county office by December 15th each year. It reflects our financial activity through October 31st and must be approved by the board. The second interim follows in March. That report will capture activity through January 31st and is submitted to the county office by March 15th. State law requires the districts update and review operating budgets at least twice a year. And those interim reports are how we meet the expectation of financial and fiscal solvency. Each report is prepared in full compliance with Education Code, reinforcing our commitment to transparency and responsible stewardship of district resources. For the 25-26 fiscal year, our total revenues are projected at $48.6 million. On the expenditure side, including interfund transfers, we are projecting roughly $50.4 million. That leaves us with a gross operating deficit, as you can see in the red, of about $2 million in combined general fund and factors in the LCFF transfers to funds 12 and 14. Even with those pressures, our projected ending reserve for 25-26 currently is projected at 8%, which includes the required 3% minimum for economic uncertainty. This slide, you can see the deficit breakdown. Chart on the left shows the fund deficit in two categories. The dark is the unrestricted and the light is the restricted component. The unrestricted deficit is $690,185 and restricted is just over $1.3 million with a combined deficit of $2,030,470. The larger portion of the deficit comes from the restricted category. This is driven by carryover program expenditures and grant funded initiatives that must be budgeted each fiscal year. If there's a carryover at the end of this fiscal year, we will see this part of the deficit reduced at unaudited actuals. 24-25 actual property tax revenue increased by 5.125% over the 23-24 fiscal year, exceeding the previous 5.0 projection that I presented at second interim last year. This positive variance is due to prior year and delinquent tax receipts. The federal program carryover balances have been updated from the previous fiscal year. These amounts are considered unaudited actuals pending the district financial audit, which will be provided by our auditors and myself in February of 2026. Multiple state program resources, including CTIG, SPED, ELOP, Arts Music Discretionary, Arts Music Program, and other restricted resources have carried balances into the current fiscal year. The STRS on Behalf contribution also provides state funding for retirement costs with no net fund balance impact. Local donation carryover has increased substantially over the adopted budget, reflecting very strong community support for our district. The 24-25 unaudited actual balances are now posted for the 25-26 first interim, which we're reporting on this evening. The key changes in expenditures and adjustments in 25-26 were updated at Budget Revision 1 not too long ago in October, which is now our operating budget. The board approved salary increases for all employees were included. Certificated salaries decreased by just over 106,000 due to position vacancy reconciliation. Classified salaries increased, as you can see there, by just over 7,773, again, due to position vacancy reconciliation. Benefits increased by 11,174. The district STIRS contribution remains flat. You can see that at the bottom at 19.10%. It's been that way for some time now, and there's no projections that the STIRS contribution for statutory is going to increase. CalPERS is projected to remain flat at this point at 26.81%. And the state unemployment insurance also is projected flat at 0.5%. You'll note at the bottom there that the workers' compensation increased from 2.77, bless you, to 3.24%, which is a result of higher than average claims as a member of our Joint Powers Authority, MIRMA. The significant increase in our restricted fund balance carryover over budget revision 1 is an important financial development for the district. The current reserve level projections for 25-26 here at interim, as I mentioned before, are at 8%. You can see it in the middle of the screen, which I'd note, however, is far lower than the state controller and school services recommends for a basic aid school district. It is recommended that a basic aid LEA maintain between 17 and 21% reserves. The projected ending fund balance on the right, you can see for 25-26 is just over 5.2 million, which is combined unrestricted and restricted fund balances. The district plans to use additional restricted carryover funds for specific purposes, including, as mentioned before, ELOP, arts music discretionary, and site donation accounts. The unrestricted reserves in Fund 1 are projected at 4,192,533. You can see that at the bottom left corner of the slide. While the restricted reserves are projected at 978,679. This is a phased reduction due to expiring and one-time limited resources. Try to say that 3 times. Restricted revenue resources. Okay, I'll move on. Here's our multi-year projection for Fund 1. As a requirement of any interim report and budget development, we're required to report on a single year and 2 subsequent fiscal years. The MYP shows key metrics on the left-hand side there, like beginning balance, revenue, expenditures, deficit ending fund balance, and our reserve levels at the bottom. It's broken out by 2 columns, as you can see, the 26-27 projection and the 27-28 projection. For 2026-27, the district is projecting a deficit of just over 1.7 million. That is made up of restricted funds of 722,719 and unrestricted of 978,654. The deficit includes, as you can see at the top in blue, a 2% increase on salary schedule, which was negotiated settlement with all units, as well as the 0.5% increase to health and welfare, which equates to around $1,441 to the district's cap. For 2027-28, there you can see in the projections that only includes step and column, and that's something to note. There's no negotiated settlement for increase to salary schedule or health and welfare in the 27-28 projections. The deficit's projected at 695,697. This is broken down predominantly by our unrestricted side, 684,742. And you can see a very small amount of the deficit there on the restricted side of 10,955. And again, that's due to the expiring resources we've received that are one-time revenues. The projected ending fund balance for 27-28 is just over 3 million, with the reserve level falling to 5.6%. It is important to note these projections show a continued declining trend in reserve levels. This is an area of concern that must be addressed in the 26-27 budget development process to mitigate the multi-year impacts that we're showing here on the screen. Strategies will be brought forward to the board through the budget subcommittee, who just met on December 9th. We will have recommendations from the subcommittee that are presented at the budget study session in the spring. This slide here gives a quick look at the financials for several other key district funds. Starting with our student activities fund on the far left-hand side, that's our ASB account, Fund 08. We opened the year with a balance of around 429,000. Revenues came in roughly at 434,000 and expenditures were about 422,000. That leaves a modest surplus of just over 11,000 and an ending fund balance of $441,079. There in the middle, you'll see Adult Education Fund 11. We began with a balance of 2.3 million. Revenues totaled about 2.57 million, with expenditures reaching 3.57 million. That creates a deficit of roughly $1 million and brings the ending fund balance down to 1.3 million. Just as a note here to the board and the community, Fund 11 has not required a revenue limit transfer for the last few fiscal years, but staff has assigned the $200,000 revenue limit transfer in the 2 subsequent fiscal years due to the deficit spending as a result of declining revenue from the Adult Education Consortium. So that is built into the multi-year projections you saw in previous slides. Child Development Fund 12 on the far right-hand side, you'll see there's a beginning fund balance of just over 151,000, with revenues of just over 464,000 and expenditures of just over 705,000. This is resulting in 123,598 deficit, which brings us to an ending fund balance you can see down at the bottom of 27,515. So note that unlike Fund 11, Fund 12 has received an unrestricted general fund contribution over the years due to the increase in staffing of the Monarch Club with little changes in tuition. Also, with the new revenue from our early learning ELOP that directly supports before and after school and summer programs, there are added requirements to adult to student ratios. The district is hoping for an increase in our ELOP apportionment, and we anticipated some increases there, but not nearly enough to bridge the gap for the unrestricted general fund contribution. We're evaluating the actual cost of Monarch Club this year, where we're looking to develop a revenue neutral model, looking at our revenue versus our expense and how that's impacting the unrestricted general fund in subsequent years. This may, however, require the tuition for the Monarch Club meet a higher level, be increased to a higher level to meet our expenditures. All right, here we're looking at Cafeteria Fund 13 on the left, Deferred Maintenance Fund on the right. We began the year in Fund 13 with just over 1.1 million, which is a decrease over the prior year. Revenues rose slightly in Fund 13 to 1.6 million, but expenditures also increased substantially to 1.83 million, which creates a deficit of 217,000 for the fiscal year. Here in Fund 13, we'll note that it is self-sustained, meaning that the unrestricted general fund does not contribute to Fund 13. And it does carry a very healthy ending fund balance of just over 1.1 million. Turning to Deferred Maintenance, Fund 14, we opened with a balance of 823,356. Revenues were just over 187,000, with expenditures reaching 467,414, which is an increase of 100,000. We project a deficit of just over 79,000, with an ending fund balance of 743,576. It's also important to note that our board has directed staff for 25-26 to continue making contributions from the unrestricted general fund to Fund 14, so we can responsibly plan for future deferred maintenance needs. This may change with the budget subcommittee's review of programs and funding that are being supported through the unrestricted general fund, and we'll bring that information forward at the budget study session in the spring. This slide here highlights 2 additional funds that play important roles in our overall financial structure. First is the Post-Employment Benefits Fund, Fund 20. This fund remains stable year to year because regulations prohibit us from transferring money out once it's been placed here. So this will sit stagnant as it has been, and I've been reporting on for about 4 years now. Next, on the right-hand side, you'll see our Building and EdTech Fund, Fund 21. This captures all revenue and expenditures tied to our general obligation bonds, Measure A, Measure D, and of course, Measure B, which we've yet to draw down on. The district will release its first issuance in the fall of 2026 for Measure B, which will show up on the revenue side. We started the year with a balance of just over 6.3 million, with revenue of just over 11 million. Of course, that's the release of our series release last year in October. Expenditures just over 14 million, which increased roughly around 7.4 million. Which results in a deficit of 2.9 million. And it does bring the ending fund balance to just over 3.3 million, which is a decrease of 7.35. Just to note on Fund 21, we've been really aggressive in moving forward with the programming of the 2020 bond sale, the 2020 general obligation ballot measure for Measure D, and the board did vote to finalize those expenditures this year with a quick start project to finalize Series D with projects completing over the summer of 2026. Next, we're going to review developer fees. This is a new fund for us. It's our second year with Fund 25 in existence. Plays a vital role in maintaining long-term district capital outlay planning, and Fund 25 can only be utilized to support modernization and new construction within our school district. Developer fees in Fund 25 opened up with a balance of $251,470. Revenues totaling just over $102,000, which is an increase of $727 from last year. With no expenditures in this fund, the full amount becomes a surplus, bringing the ending fund balance to $354,198. And I mentioned this at budget adoption and budget revision. Until the district receives board directive on building an expenditure plan, we'll simply just continue to realize the revenue from developer fees, and we will have no expenditures in Fund 25. On the bottom there, you'll see capital projects, Fund 40, that is for capital outlay. We began with a balance of $727,241. Revenue came in at $285,000 and expenditures totaled $459,506. I'll remind the board and those watching online that the revenue received for Fund 40 is solely a component of our lease to the Monterey Bay Charter School over David Avenue. There was a time for about 3 years where the board had directed staff to transfer $200,000 from the unrestricted general fund. So at a time, there was more than double the amount you're seeing right now as revenue. All right, so tonight the administration is recommending approval of the district's presented financials. Even with budget pressures we've discussed tonight, we do continue to have liquidity. We need to operate effectively and efficiently, supported in part by our TRAN. Our district does have a tax revenue anticipation note, which allows us to bridge timing and gaps in cash flow. As we step back and look at the whole picture, the first interim makes it clear that while the district remains fiscally stable, we are operating in a period of sustained deficit spending. This remains a signal that we'll need to stay attentive and proactive as we move forward. The support from our district budget subcommittee, bringing a proactive approach to mitigating these financial issues, is crucial and timely. I do want to express my appreciation to staff who helped support the reporting tonight and for the board's ongoing leadership in navigating these challenges with care and consistency. With that, staff respectfully recommends the approval of the 25-26 first interim report, and I'll open it for questions.
Thank you for your report. Before we go to the board, can we go out to public comment on this item? On the first interim report? No public comment on this item in the room or online, so I will bring it back to the board for discussion. If anybody would like to jump in, feel welcome.
I can start if that's okay.
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Dr. Hazen.
Sorry, online always makes it a little difficult. Just wanted to say a few quick things, Josh. And again, I know this is going to come up budgets. I want to thank the budget committee for taking on this. I think we're going to have to make some difficult decisions ahead. And I know we've been saying that a bit in the past year or two. I'll just make it known that I think it was Fund 14 was the one that we are still contributing. I think I'll urge the budget committee to consider those funds being used for other needs potentially. And just wanted to ask you a bit, at the early stages, with the kind of declining enrollment and staffing issues, how, are there some high level solutions, if that makes sense, that you have in mind that, potential solutions for this issue, Josh? I'll stop it there.
So I don't know if it's, the forum for me to report what solutions I feel are best fit for the district tonight. I certainly have, in collaboration with district staff, brought some discussion points to our budget subcommittee. We had our second meeting last week where we presented quite a few items for consideration from the budget subcommittee. Certainly coming from the chair of the CBO, the very most important thing that we must do this year is come up with a long-term ongoing solution to our deficit spending, which means reduction of expenditures that are ongoing, not one time or not simply following a schedule of programmatic need, but something that we can address, for many years to come. So short in that is that we should not be looking at any stopgaps for the next year or two. We need a long-term solution here. Since I've been in the district, I've watched the reserve drop, almost around 7%. And that is certainly not something sustainable for a basic aid district or any LEA in the state of California. But I will say that the budget subcommittee has had some very good discussion. They asked the fiscal staff to bring back some additional items to our meeting in January. We'll report that through the budget subcommittee and bring a recommendation to the board at our budget study session.
Thank you.
Thank you for your comments, Dr. Hazen. Is there anything else from you out in remote Zoom land? Okay, thank you. Board members, who'd like to go next?
I just have a quick question. How much does the 0.125 over the amount that we calculated for the property tax equate to?
Yeah, it was around 126,000.
Do you feel that it was a little low this year compared to maybe last year or 2 years ago?
We are on par with the county's recommendations for year over revenue. The county gives us a projection of 5% in assessed valuation new revenue. So coming in at 5 1/8 isn't really
No, it's not. But didn't we get more a couple years ago?
Exactly. So yeah. So when I look at the revenue over the course of the last 8 years, we had a couple of anomalies. One of them was an 8.5% year over increase in revenue, and that was directly tied to deferred tax receipts for commercial properties through COVID. We are like the 0.125 or the eighth over is attributed to delinquent tax receipts or late or delayed tax receipts, which we don't anticipate in our projections for revenue.
And as far as the developer fees, anything coming in on that's worthy of note?
I would say that our revenue projections have exceeded the expectations that I had associated with developer fees. So we're a relatively built out community. So if you would ask me that question about 7 years ago, we would have seen much higher numbers on the revenue side for developer fees with many of the developments that have occurred in our city. What we're seeing right now is predominantly a lot of ADUs coming in, remodels in excess of 500 square feet. So I'm pretty happy to see, a little over $100,000 in revenue. It's going to take us some time to build up a fund balance there, but certainly was a fantastic idea by the board to levy the developer fees, because with the pulling back of the UGF contribution to Fund 14 and Fund 40, well, potentially Fund 14, and certainly we've already pulled back on Fund 40, those developer fees can supplant some of those expenditures in the future.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, about the developer fund. I think this is what Dr. Hazen was talking about, but I would like to look into spending that fund. I know it's not huge, but with the deficit in 14, I mean the deficit overall, I think I understand what you're saying about to kind of be fiscally responsible. We should avoid stopgap solutions. And I'm behind that, but I feel like to stop the bleeding, we also do need some stopgap solutions. And so to use Fund 25 to pay things, I did just look back at the bond language. I personally feel like we could use some of the bond for maintenance because it is addressing renovation of classrooms and everything. And so anywhere where we could use that money to basically stop the bleeding again, I think should be considered. I mean, it's not a STEM building like perhaps some voters were thinking, but I think the voters would be appreciative of us building back a reserve in whatever manner and trying to get solid footing. That's personally my belief. And I don't know what really has to be technically done to kind of like trigger the Fund 25 to be spent.
Yeah, thank you, Trustee Wax. So Fund 25, similar to Fund 21, can only be used for capital outlay, right? So Fund 25 could support the bond program, certainly. It's not really designed to support Fund 14 deferred maintenance, but as you mentioned, Fund 21 can help support deferred maintenance. So in a roundabout way, Fund 25 could. So what we're going to do when we're going to have a presentation tonight from our program folks on the facility side. We could utilize the fund balance in Fund 25 to support projects that are capital in nature for our Fund 21 bond program. Certainly, we certainly could, if that's the direction of the board.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe I'm messing up the language, but not even to support the bond program, but basically any maintenance could anywhere where we could use like these extra funds or bonds to address maintenance wiring as laid out in the bond measure, or roof repairs, pipes, that sort of thing. I think we should, if legal, I think we should use these kind of extra monies to support that. It's my personal opinion.
Thank you for your comments. I will go last, and I will say I agree with you. I think any creative solutions we can come up with, it's going to take a lot of just different approaches and looking at things from different angles. I am in full support of us getting a balanced budget. I know we didn't get to this point how we are like overnight, but I think as board members, even when it is not popular, like we are the ones who are responsible for being stewards of the taxpayers' money. So we need to keep ourselves on track so that we can stay fiscally solvent, and that doesn't have to be a huge focus of our work as it is, but that is going to require long-term planning. So in terms of today, we do receive a positive certification, but looking at the trends, which thank you for this presentation, it's very clear what we're looking at in each fund and what we're looking at with regard to our reserve and the expiration of one-time funds and some programs that we haven't touched in or really taken a deep dive look at in a long time. So I'm on board for all of that in the budget subcommittee. And I'm also just gonna say, staff, please come up with all of the creative solutions to get us there. That's what I'm in favor of. And just noting that this doesn't even show if there was a salary or health and welfare increase in 27, 28. That's, we know that's where the majority of our spending ends up going to is personnel. So just something for the board to be tracking. Those are my comments. Go ahead, Trustee Wax.
Yeah, I mean, I failed to mention that I appreciate the staff's knowledge on all this and help, and the presentation was really clear and helpful. There was something else that I was going to say, and it slipped my mind. Well, there's a commenter anyway, so
We'll go to Dr. Hazen and give you a moment.
Yeah, just reminded me one other thing I wanted to add on the Monarch Club that you mentioned is just a suggestion if there's a way to look into need-based pricing for that. I'd be very much supportive of that if there's a way to make sure. But again, I don't know what kind of operations would allow for that. So I'll just throw that one out there.
Thank you, Trustee Hazen. And it's a requirement when we receive the Early Learning Opportunity Program grant money, which supports Fund 12, that we offer free and reduced, anyone that fills out a free and reduced meal application to have free before and after care. So that's something we've been doing for some time, and it is a pretty large list of families that's helping support as a resource.
Thank you.
I remembered the
Oh,
last thought. Also say that, after looking into other districts and everything, it's not like we're abnormal in terms of our spending. We fall within that 80 to 85% salary or budget for salaries. And so am I right in that it's kind of like the expenses related to kind of ongoing retirement things that are kind of basically what is the problem? Well, I mean, not a problem. I appreciate everyone's service, but like if we're acting within reason in terms of salary, it seems like something is a little bit broken. So I'm like trying to wrap my head around like what we could be doing, if you can't answer, and if you can, that's fine. I can't my question. I don't know.
Yeah, it's complex.
One thing I'll say and make it brief is that we have adjacent school districts that the cost of their employee base is in the high 70s%. So 85% is actually very high for salary health and welfare. It's pretty high. When I started, actually we went down. I want to say we're almost 88%. It was 87.6% when I first started here. So the SERP, which the district implemented, helped with that. But 85% is still pretty high, right? If you're thinking about leaving the district with 15% or everything else, with the cost of goods and services exponentially going up every year. Consumer pricing index was planned at 3.25, but it landed at 7. Utility prices. I mean, there's a lot of unplanned escalation in expenditures, and when you're trying to cram them into 15%, it makes it pretty tough. It does. So I think that we have some pretty well-developed, useful, ongoing solutions that we'll bring through the budget subcommittee. That will be a recommendation from that committee to the board through our budget development process and budget study session. So I don't want to speak too much more than that at this point, because we do have another budget subcommittee meeting in January before we move into our study session.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay. Thank you to everyone for the discussion, and Assistant Superintendent Jordan, to you and your staff for all of the work to make this a bit more digestible for all of us. We can move on now to a motion if there is one. I'll make the motion. Oh, go ahead. Okay, I'll make the motion.
But I'm happy to second it.
I will make the motion to approve our first interim report, and I heard a second from Dr. Hazen. Can we please have a roll call vote?
Yes, President McNary.
Aye.
Clerk Shamas.
Aye.
Trustee Wax.
Aye.
And Trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, that also passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone, for the discussion. Board, at this time, I'm going to ask if we would all be in agreement with taking an item out of order. We have an in-person presenter on the facilities master plan budget and timeline. It's information item A. Would everyone be okay with taking that item out of order so our presenter doesn't have to wait?
Yeah. Aye. Yes.
Aye. Okay. So with that, I will turn it over to you, Assistant Superintendent Jorn, on the facilities master plan budget and timeline.
Thank you, President McNary. I'll welcome Dustin Connor to the microphone while Lewis is queuing up the presentation. I will say this: what a great relationship that's been developed between Asonio, Brailsford, and Dunleavy over the course of the last 7 months. I can't speak highly enough about their team, their dedication to our district, their commitment to getting it right Their commitment to stakeholder input has been nothing short of amazing. And when we want to, bring forward data to our board and through our facility subcommittee, it's very important that we have as much stakeholder input as possible. And tonight's presentation is on the heels of an additional survey that went out to all of our school sites related to the priority 2 and priority 3 projects as identified in the facilities master plan. So I won't continue to steal his thunder, but I'll welcome Dustin to the stage.
Very nice intro. Thank you, Josh. And I didn't mind waiting, by the way. So I would have been happy to absorb more about the district while I sat here in the audience. Good evening, everybody, ladies and gentlemen of the board, staff. Tonight we are picking up where we left off in August on an update for the bond program. We're going to cover what the introduction of the master bond list. We're going to go over process to date and review some of the priorities and the estimating we've been doing, our next steps with the master bond project list, and then we have some quick start projects. We'd like to show you some layouts there on what's happening on that front. So what is the master bond project list? Where we're at with the bond right now is we have the facilities master plan that's established. We established our quick start list, and now we're here with the master bond project list. And that list is going to be the basis of the program. And so with the bond, we have the bond language, and there's a lot of language in there that you guys know about. And then we have the facilities master plan, and we really need to narrow down all that information into a concise list that will be organized by each campus, and then each campus will have a project name, project number, scope, budget, and a number of projects per campus. And that's all going to total down to the amount that we have, which is $78 million in the bond, plus any interest earnings, and just keep us on track with all the projects that we have planned, and keep us looking in the right direction on budget as well. There will be revisions. As I mentioned last time I was here, the bond process is an evolution, so it goes on for quite many years, and there'll be ebbs and flows and priorities, and we have a process for revising the list once it's been approved. Again, it's the foundation of the bond program. Here's the bond list revision slide. So if we do make any revisions to the bond, we will be back here in front of the board with those revisions. That could be name of the project, the budget of the project, if we have to change the number for some reason, any of those items on that list will be back for approval. So everything is transparent in that front. Process to date. So we've been here for 6 months or so, and we've really got to know the district. And one of our big accomplishments is we finished up our gap analysis report. And what that was is taking the facilities master plan and then visiting all the sites and seeing what else is there above and beyond the facilities master plan that we could be considering on the master project list. And we met with John Anderson, and we got good information about facilities, and we visited campuses. And so we finished our gap analysis. And then from that gap analysis, there was about 140 projects on there. And so we started doing a lot of estimating. And so in October, we got the gap analysis done, and then spent most of November doing estimating. And we developed project charters for all 140 projects. So now we have a full need list that has budgets that include all the hard costs, the soft costs, any furniture, equipment that applies to those projects. And this was all using historical data from B&D's files and database on percentages and whatnot. Wanted to throw this slide in here to talk about strategy on prioritization. We have 140 projects. We have a fixed amount of costs. We have a lot of need, fixed amount of costs. So One strategy is to define these projects as a scope-driven project or a budget-driven project. And we use the analogy of windows in your house. So if we were going to replace windows in your house and we are going to do it as a scope-driven project, we would say we need to replace all the windows in the house, and we're not too concerned about how much it costs. We just need to do all the windows, and we come up with a budget to do that. A budget-driven project would be, we only have this much money, but we want to do windows. So how many windows can we do for this much money? And I think that strategy will be pretty common in our meetings with the subcommittee to finalize this list with so many projects and to fix them out. So our full need is 193 million, and we have 78 million in Measure B. So we're going to need to make some decisions, and we're going to need to defer some projects. Again, if the projects get deferred, that doesn't mean that they're off the table forever. They can come back in a bond list revision if priorities change. And then also there's opportunities for additional funding as well that come up throughout the bond. And so those will still be there, but they'll be below the line on the deferred. We talked about scope and budget-driven projects, identifying those, and then the basis for all this is going to continue to be on the foundation of the facilities master plan study for our priority 1, 2, and 3 projects. Priority 1 projects being the essential ones that we need to take care of now that are that we all know about, the forest groves, pipes, and things like that. With quick start projects, I put this in here to remind everyone that we did make a good effort on the FMP with Measure D funding. So these are the projects that were approved last time, which takes a nice bit of a need off the table for consideration at the subcommittee. So that's around $13 million worth of projects. And so where are we going with this? So this is our full need budget. We're going to have to do some work on this, but right now on the left-hand side, you'll see all the campuses and then the total budget for each campus right here. We have a swing space budget that we included in here. And what that is we need interim housing for placing folks. If we're going to do a project, we need to be able to stage the program somewhere else. So we'll use some swing space money to set up other place for the operation to happen while we're doing the construction. And then we have some rollover amounts from the quick start jobs. So when we approve the quick start projects in August, we found that we needed to pull some of that money from Measure D into Measure B to make them happen. So those items will be on the list for approval when we come back as well. And then we have a district office line item here. So some projects that we need to do here at the DO. And then right here, we have contingencies and program costs. So this is the format that we'll be following when we craft the master budget list. We're just going to need to get this number down $115 million. So that's going to be the big challenge. So how do we do that? We've been walking through this scenario with all the campuses. We've met with most campuses and talked about what projects are on the list, and start thinking about what are the favorite projects, what is the need, what do you want to see done on your campus. We also issued a Google survey to each campus and got pretty good response from everybody on and some clear favorites on what projects they want to see done. And we've drafted a proposed list. And so with the process that we're engaging at this district is we have a facilities subcommittee, and the next meeting is Monday. So our proposed list will be presented at the subcommittee Monday. And with any luck, if it's in good shape with our proposal, we will be back in January. I think we're coming back in January either way now. Originally, we were going to come in February, but we're trying to get this thing going. So we'll be back in January with the proposed list. If we need to go back to the subcommittee, we'll do that in January, right before we end up at the board. And we hope to start moving on past the list and finalizing the budget in our BMAT software, which is our financial management software to keep everything straight. We'll develop our master plan, we'll allocate our escalation contingency, and then we'll get started on design for projects in 2027. Reminder, we have projects already set up for this summer of 26 with a quick start. And so that is it on the master project list. Any questions before we jump into the quick start updates?
Anyone from the board? Go ahead, trustee Wax.
For the grand total, the $193-ish million, that is from what?
That is from all the projects that are on the facilities master plan and the projects that we came up with in the gap analysis review. So projects that weren't defined a couple of years ago when the facilities master plan was being developed, we saw that there were additional projects. So that's everything. That's what we call the full need for the district.
Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone? Any other questions before we move on? Okay.
One more quick
Oh,
one.
Go ahead, President or Dr. Hazen.
Thanks. Just on that number, since trustee Wax brought it up, does that also include some of the like wish list items, or is that something that's going to come in a later date that might make that number even bigger?
No, that includes all the wish list items as well.
Great.
That's everything.
Like the big thoughts, the big planning that, build a new, school. Because I don't know if we've gotten into the full, like, what are some big ideas we might have that, could advance our district. So just want to make sure there's still that opportunity for some of that to be considered alongside some of the more routine priority one projects.
Right. I guess when I think wish list, I'm thinking the priority 3 projects that are listed in the FMP.
Thank you. Hopefully that's something we'll have more opportunity to do, is again, just to make sure we are thinking big if we can, since these bonds are pretty special opportunities.
I have one other question. You said that you'd use kind of historical data to price things out.
Right.
And then related to Assistant Superintendent Jordan's presentation last time, or an item ago, those prices have gone up a bunch. So are we factoring in like a 7%-ish increase into these, or how are we modeling that?
Yeah, the way that we're modeling it is we're pricing everything out at today's cost. And then we have an escalation contingency line item at the bottom of our program list. And so once we get the list established, we'll come up with a master schedule, and then we'll apply the escalation contingency to the jobs as we forecast when they'll happen. So it's hard to put that in there now because we don't know if we're gonna, what we're doing and when that's going to happen. So that was our strategy to account for escalation costs that are coming.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, we can move forward.
Okay.
Thank you.
So with the quick start jobs, there's 4 larger projects that we discussed last time. It's the playground at Forest Grove. We plan to start construction in June this summer on that. And then the playground at Robert Down, which is also going to start in June. The adult school that we talked about and the high school, due to the funding needing to come from Measure B, those sales will be done in fall, and so we plan to start those projects in the fall. And we feel that these jobs can be done during the fall just because of the nature of their location on campus without too much disruption. Here is the DCA is our architect. They've been working on getting things ready to go to DSA. So DSA is our authority having jurisdiction, gives us our permit. And so this is the playground layout for Forest Grove with the ADA improvements, and this is going to DSA this month and getting ready to bid out. So we'll make the summer push. Some elements here. This is the entrance of the campus to kind of give you an orientation. We plan to redo all the landscaping on the doorstep of the campus. So when you come in on site, this is all improved right here. And then it comes out to a new plaza right here. And DCA is putting in a concrete paving there. So future picnic tables with shade can be attached to that area. Another big feature on this improvement is the amphitheater right here. So this is level 1, we call it, level 2 and level 3. And so between level 1 and 2, a new amphitheater will be installed here, seated amphitheater, concrete, with shade structure. And this will be the spot where the school can have a lot of assemblies and gatherings, and then also use as lunch area and just kind of a nice space for improvement for the campus. ADA improvements, we're going to carry the new sidewalk over here, make this ADA compliant. The sandbox is still here for everybody. And then new ramp up to the 3rd level. And then this is the ADA walkway out to the exit here. So the whole campus will be ADA compliant when we're done with this project. And then all this blacktop right here will be grinded up and redone, and new striping as part of the job. So I feel like that's going to be a big improvement for this campus. The next campus is Robert Down, and so again, all the blacktop will be redone here with striping. And the big change here is this whole site slopes to the back of the school, and so they have pretty good drainage problem, water getting collected right back here. And so actually, when we got started, John was working with Whitson on terracing the site, so this is all flat, and collect the water right here and discharge it before it gets to the building. And so that was improved on with a seat wall here and a little planter to break up the elevation change with some trees right here. I feel like that's gonna be very nice. And then we have some ADA improvements to get to this point, and then another ADA improvement to get to the baseball field right right now. I think this is like a DG path. And then future work will be an amphitheater similar to what we have at the Forest Grove right in this area. But we're gonna put that on the Measure B list as an improvement. So this stair will get redone, and then the amphitheater will be installed right there. And that is it for my presentation. Any questions on the quick start layouts? Feedback?
Was there any alternative surface considered besides blacktop, or is that's kind of just standard for elementary schools?
You know, we're concrete would be the next step, but that's a big jump in price.
Mm-hmm.
And the nature of the sites is basketball and tetherball and foursquare and whatnot, which is typically blacktop.
And it's being ground up because it's uneven right now, is that right?
Yeah, it's cracking and end of life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, well, how long is the lifespan, I guess?
For asphalt? I'd take 20 years. What do you think?
Longer if you keep it resealed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to jump in there.
Jump in.
So I think that it's important to note that, maintenance of the blacktop surfacing had not really been accomplished, like slurry sealing and sealing and petromatting the cracks and all these things that go with like routine, deferred, routine restricted maintenance, which also requires restriping. So it's important to note that we have to develop a deferred maintenance plan to maintain the asphalt moving forward, so we don't end up in a situation like we're in right now, where literally all of the blacktop at both first level, second level at Forest Grove, and if you want to call it first and second level at Robert Town, is going to be removed and replaced. So that's something that we've talked about as a maintenance plan that you have to build into your deferred maintenance schedule. So I would say that with the terracing and the addition of a lot of the softscape, it's important to note that we're not just putting back in blacktop. There are ball walls. There's a lot of other components here that aren't really shown on like a two-dimensional drawing, but we really did engage with both sites, the staff, the principals on multiple different occasions, as well as surveys to include what the teaching staff in particular felt was best for their students during play, and that's what was incorporated into the Quick Start projects at both elementary schools.
Does that answer your question, Trustee Wax?
Yeah. Thanks.
Oh, it was helpful information. Any other trustees have questions at this point in the presentation? I'll just say I'm really glad to see we're getting both elementary schools ADA compliant and creating spaces that are going to be more inclusive for anyone who needs to access our campuses. So thank you. High priority and good stuff.
Okay. All right. Well, I guess I'll see everybody after the holidays.
We-
Yeah, so I'll see you guys on Monday. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Dustin. Okay, board, that was an information item, so no further action needed. I'll now return back to our agenda in order, and I believe next up we have action item C, which is school psychologist job description, Chief Vogelman's item.
Thank you, President Neri and trustees. Buck Rogan, Chief Human Resources Officer for the district, and I bring before you a job description for the school psychologist position. We recently had a resignation, and as we went to advertise the job, we wanted to make sure that we had a job description that we could post along with it. Currently, the district didn't have a job description for the school psychologist, and so we went through the process that we do when we develop one, and that is that we took a look at the district's needs, and then we looked at some of the job descriptions of the neighboring districts, and then we also consulted with Executive Director Cork Anthony, who will kind of be supervising the school psychologist, and then we also ran the job description by one of our veteran school psychologists as well. So we got input from as many different, admin and staff members as we could that would be working with this job description on a regular basis. So this is the product of a collaborative effort, and we would seek the board approval for this job description for the school psychologist, which is going to primarily be an integral part of the IEP team, do the psychoeducational assessments to determine the learning needs that students have, to see if they qualify for special education services, and also to work with staff to help implement the accommodations that are identified through that process. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you or the public might have about the school psychologist job description.
Thank you. We'll go out to public comment first. Okay, no public comment on the school psychologist item. I'll bring it back to the board for discussion. Trustee Schmaltz?
This is a full-time position.
This is a 0.6 position that's going to be advertised, but the job description would be similar for a 1.0.
So typically, do we share a psychologist with another district, or?
So we've got multiple in our district. The person who resigned is the person that serves Forest Grove, and that need is a 0.60 full-time equivalent, and so that's the job that's being flown.
Okay.
Thank you. I was curious about which site or where this was filling a need for us as well. I don't have any questions or comments on this item. Trustee Wax.
I imagine this falls under the reasonable accommodation, but the physical requirements about like occasionally running and walking and that sort of thing. So if there was a applicant in a wheelchair, the note basically covers, we have to specify the walking and running. Is that right?
The physical requirements that we lifted are pretty.
I'm sorry for interrupting you, but for just my ability to run the meeting, can we have Trustee Hazen up on the screen so I can see if he's raising his hand or interested in participating? I apologize for interrupting you, Chief Vogelman. Thank you.
So the physical requirements that we have are standard. And so if someone was able to basically meet the requirements in any kind of an assistive device, then that's acceptable by the district. So by walk, it means to be able to move from one part of a room to another. Yeah.
Gotcha. Thanks.
Any further discussion from the board?
Thanks for getting multiple inputs from everyone on staff, or lots of people on staff.
Yeah, thank you for sharing the process with us. I don't see any further discussion with that. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the school psychologist job description? No, I went out to public comment before board discussion this time. Thank you though, because next time you might be right on. Would anyone like to make a motion? Okay,
I'll make a motion. But before I make a motion, just the fact that we didn't have a job description. I mean, I hope there's not too many other employees that we don't have a job description for.
If there are, you're going to be seeing the job descriptions coming up forward. That's part of the commitment that we've made as an HR department, is that if we're going to fly a job and we don't have a job description for it, then you may be seeing more coming forward. So we're doing an audit and trying to do this among the other things, one job at a time. So
thank you. I'll move that we approve the job description for the school psychologist.
Okay, motions made by trustee Shamas.
I'll second.
And a second from trustee Wax. Roll call vote, please.
Yes, President McNary.
Aye.
Clerk Shamas.
Aye.
Trustee Wax.
Aye.
And trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, passes unanimously. Thank you, Chief Fogelman. All right, next on our agenda is the proposed board meeting calendar on page 341. Dr. Adamson, are there any proposed changes?
The only change I'm proposing is we have a special meeting next Thursday that I'm proposing we remove from our calendars with the approval of the board.
Okay, with that change, let's go out to public comment on the board calendar. No one for public comment on the board calendar, and bring it back to the board for discussion. Board, any feedback on Dr. Adamson's request to take one meeting off of our plates next week and go see a PGUSD performance somewhere and have a little joy?
Holidays.
Happy holidays. Okay. Okay, then I will make a motion to approve the calendar without the December 18th meeting. Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
And a second from trustee Wax and a roll call vote because we're making a change.
Yes, indeed. President McNary.
Aye.
Clerk Shamas.
Aye.
Trustee Wax.
Aye.
And trustee Dr. Hazen.
Aye.
Okay, and that passes unanimously again. Thank you, board. Thank you, Dr. Adamson. It's already been a very full month.
Right.
Okay, we are back into our information discussion portion of the meeting, and item B is our quarterly facilities report with Director Anderson, who has probably been working 20 some odd hours a day for the past couple of weeks. I'm guessing, maybe, I mean.
And still changes into a blazer. I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So quarterly report. I told Lucero, I got to share this. I told Lucero, this is the prettiest one I've ever done. And she said, it looks like a dad did it. So humor at the end of the night. So here we go. Pacific Grove High School. What happened here? Well, Beth Shamas suggested putting a fence someplace, and we listened. And so it really takes care of a gap that we had. It really does. And you know, that's that institutional knowledge that you bring to our board. So thank you. We had the culinary hoods professionally cleaned, and I think they're a nice little sticker, and they're compliant with the fire code now. So we're going to be doing that annually. We had a major water line break between K&L at the end of the year last year, and we decided to just let the kids graduate before we handled it, and it became quite an ordeal. And that one's behind us now. We have all new thermostats in all the rooms that have furnaces. Thank you to that grant money. I mean, not grant money, the CalShape money. We also have new HVAC filters put in all the units since, the beginning of the year. We've got every ward that could take a MERV 13. They have a MERV 13 now. The elevator is at the high school is very close to being finished. We've done quite a bit of work on it. Hopefully in the next few months, that'll be open and ready to go. And the chairlift was fully serviced and tested. And so that's great news for all of our conveyances throughout the district. They're all ready for permitting. We're just waiting for the state, with the exception of that one elevator at the high school. Next slide, please. Okay, Forest Grove. So when we last shared with our summer update, summer projects, there was a couple of unfinished projects there. One of which was our playground. It is now completed, and we talked somebody into testing it, and that principles first. And what's really good about that is it has the inclusive elements in it, like we did at Robert Down, and that's very important to us that all playgrounds going forward will have all those inclusive elements. Also, we took care of a couple more trip hazards we noticed on the campus. The remote gate entry was in process when I last spoke to you about our projects. It is completed now, and they're loving it. It's every time I show up there and they push the button, it's a joy. The fire rated stage curtains that were in process at the end of the summer are now in, and they look beautiful. Again, new HVAC filters there. We performed our annual gutter cleaning. Where the tree fell on building E, we had to do the first phase of the damage repairs there. So it now has a watertight, nice roof on it. All the framing's been replaced and straightened. Over the December break, we'll start getting the room repaired and getting it ready for rehabilitation. We repaired 2 separate water line leaks, breaks, now 3, just to bring you up to date. And we removed one very large dead tree at the front parking lot, and the chairlift at that site has also been fully serviced and tested and ready for permitting. Pacific Grove Middle School, a little bit less work going on there since August. It's really hard for us to get in there, but we do get in there when we can. So we went in to replace stair treads, and it's proven to be very laborious to get the old stair treads off the concrete. So in a 1 week closure, we got 3 on. That's how labor intensive it was. Wow. So the guys are not looking forward to doing the rest of that, but we're gonna tackle it. The chairlift and elevators have all been fully serviced, inspected, and tested. We do have 1 or 2 permits that they actually came by and gave us. I think the one there, it might be where we did get a permit. But we're just waiting for the state now. We're all ready to go. New HVAC filters and new thermostats there where applicable. Robert Down Elementary. When we last spoke, the BSARP building area was about half finished. It's completed now. Looks beautiful. We put that new carpet in room number 6. And actually, I should start with the new gutters at Building D. We're in the process of replacing gutters at a couple places at Robert Down, and our very own Ryan Pryor. He comes to us with a lot of experience, and I like to give my guys leeway where they can. He actually came to me and said, "Hey, John, if you buy the materials, I can install these and save us a ton of money." And this is where our employees, when allowed, will bring value to the plate. So we've paid about $6,000 in materials to replace gutters on a couple of the buildings there. He's already installed, he self-painted and installed the first ones there. And so these gutters, if I went out to a contractor, would have probably cost us somewhere in the neighborhood of $40,000 to $60,000. And so just by buying the materials, painting them in-house, and installing it himself, we're going to save a ton of money. So we're really trying to help get that budget crisis taken care of. Got a beautiful picture here of some landscaping. Again, this is another success story. Our landscape guys came to me and said, "Hey, we could do something with that area." And I said, "Throw an idea at it." And I said, "I'll give you a budget of $800. And that's what they did. And it's gorgeous. You should visit it sometime. Again, new thermostats, new HVAC filters. The chairlift was fully serviced and tested, and I'm pretty sure we have the permit for that one. So a couple of these are starting to be up and about. Not a lot of work going on at Pacific Grove Adult Education, but we did manage to get some blinds installed and fix some cracked windows. As a matter of fact, we're going to fix another couple of cracked windows for Barbara coming up here, because after we were finished, we found 2 more. And then let's talk about what it's looking like. So those were projects that we accomplished from the beginning of school until now. Our transportation department, since the beginning of the school year, has transported 35 athletic field trips, 14 school field trips, and 26 inter-campus transfers. So what's an inter-campus transfer? Inter-campus transfer is when we take kids from like Forest Grove and Robert Down, and we bring them to the middle school to use the flex lab, or we bring kids over to go and take a music lesson, stuff like that. So we're taking them from school to school for little things. Let's talk about work request statistics. So we're operating right now since the beginning of the school year at about a 91% per month completion rate, which is pretty good considering I have 3.5 guys to do maintenance requests. That's an average of 94 work orders per month, 27 work requests per worker per month. And so we're on track to do about 1,500 work requests this year. And this is a radical change for the district. I've been here for a little over 3 years now, and since I arrived, I've been barking, if you want work done, please put in a work request. Historically, people would call the guys directly. They'd stop them when they're walking across campus, and there was no real way to have any data to figure out how many work orders are we doing. I would like to congratulate all of our district campuses on they're really falling in line. They're calling in work requests or they're putting in work requests. We're getting work requests in, documenting them and achieving them. So a lot of the work, we can't do it if we don't know about it. And so it's really helpful that they're working with us now to get these documented, and we're starting to see some valuable data. So like I put together a little spreadsheet there to show you what we've done from August to November of 2025. With like the high school, for example, we received 108 work requests, and we completed 97 to date. 37 at the middle school, and now why do I have 48 completed with only 37? Because those were some ones that rolled over from last year. So you'll see sometimes that we complete more in a certain area than we actually get. So Forest Grove Elementary, 6151, Robert Down, 9182. PG Adult 4237, David Avenues, that's the campus there, which includes CHS 17 and 13. And right here at the district office, 19 received, 12 completed. And those are just the numbers that I was able to pull out of our system, where before, when I came here 3.5 years ago, it was like I probably would have had 60 or 70 work orders in that time frame. So again, a good job from all of our site administration getting those things in and working with us. So what did we spend from the beginning of the year for that first quarter? We did almost $250,000 worth of work while school is in session. I think it's important to note that we're not just getting $6 or $7 million worth of work done in summer. We're continuing to work throughout the year. So how does that look? Well, we did that Fund 14. We did 3 projects related to Fund 14. We did a couple on Fund 40 and a couple that we finished up on the bond measure D21. And so kind of a dispersed usage of our funding to accomplish those items. And we're just going to keep going forward and making this place beautiful. Any questions?
I think we'll go out to public comment first, and then we'll bring it back to the board. Thank you very much for the presentation. Yeah. No one online who wishes to comment. Okay, board, I'll bring it back to us. Is there anyone who'd like to speak or comment first?
Great presentation. Appreciate all the work that y'all do. Am I wrong? Didn't you guys fix up the bathrooms too? Was that this year?
Yeah, they were actually, those were also in progress, and they were, I would say, about 90% complete when school started. And you're talking about the ones at middle school, and yes, they're complete now.
And then also at David Avenue, right?
David Avenue. Those were actually completed, and those were on the summer.
All right. Okay. Great work. Great.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Yes, good work. I mean, when I see stuff that's gotten done, I always bless you, John.
Thank you.
Because you can tell when it's been taken care of and somebody really did it the right way. Okay, I have a couple of questions. The chairlift of the stadium, Okay, so it's working now, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Fully operational. and
Fully
permitted.
operation. Okay, so when we had our football games there, they set up like a little booth to sell clothing items and stuff. And really, they put it all the way against that chair lift. So like if anybody really wanted to use it, they'd have to ask them to
Yeah.
move the whole thing over so that they could operate it.
Okay.
So I don't know if there should be some little sign there or, just to keep that space clear enough. I don't know, but I mean,
You already discovered. What I'll do is I will discuss that with our staff at the high school, and maybe what we can do is paint basically like a yellow stripe zone around the ground that,
Yeah,
to keep that area clear.
yeah, because, it's working, right?
Just like that fence that we put in. We're
Yes,
listening.
love it. I love it. But staying on the stadium then, the signs, right? I asked Josh about signs for, we talked about updating the signs for no dogs, no bikes and I'm just wondering if they are there.
So we have
ready?
signs in my office, and would be one of those uncompleted work orders at this point.
Oh, well, my request,
Yeah.
I'll fill out a work order.
Yeah.
It's just that I'm thinking about the Christmas break because that's the time when you're gonna get a lot of usage, public usage, and that's when all kinds of weird things happen over there. Like, I mean, I really have a hard time with people putting bicycles on the track. And, and people complain because they're trying to walk the track and, even little kids are riding their bikes and I tell them nicely, but there's that one sign on the Forest Grove side of the stadium. And I don't know if you noticed, but it's way down on the corner. So if people are coming in, they don't even see a sign. But the sign exists, but it's on the far corner of the fence, almost next to Congress Avenue there.
Okay, I'll look
So-
into that.
Yeah, look at that. And anyway, so I'm just wanting to save myself a little bit of security there. Also the stairs at the middle school. Are those considered still like legal, like the
So
sizing of them?
You're talking about like the stairs that lead up to second level?
Yes.
And third level. Those are what we call existing non-compliant, and they are part of that plan that you saw earlier that Dustin showed, that those will be replaced.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, because they're,
Then they will be existing compliant.
okay, okay, because they're interesting.
Yeah.
And then the last question, over at community high school, is the door that goes into, the main door that goes into the office area there, is that have like a safety lock on it at all?
It has a lock block on it, yes, that we have in all of our classrooms.
Okay,
Yeah, so, but and you know what the lock block is, it's a little block on the door that if you push it you could leave the door locked in the event of a lockdown, or you just push it to the side and close the door without having to pull it closed.
okay, because I just thought, oh, well, did we forget them that they needed like some kind of safety locks too that,
Yeah.
I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's there.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Dr. Hazen, anything from you on this item?
Just to say, I'm consistently amazed with how much you guys accomplish and how busy and friendly your team is. So leadership sets the tone. So well done, Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you. And I can recall when you arrived and there maybe possibly wasn't a great system for submitting work orders. And then we got a system of work orders and then we had a lot of work orders and a backlog of work orders. And now it's just kind of amazing to be able to have the data and see the progress. So many thanks ongoing for making this place.
And again, kudos to all the people at the
1000%.
sites that are cooperating and helping us out there, because we couldn't do it alone.
Yeah.
It's that the district we thing.
Yeah, I do have a question. Do we know when building E at Forest Grove will be done?
We're gonna try to get as much done as we can during the Christmas break, but we only have 6 working days during that time.
Oh.
So it would be nice to have it done, in January.
Okay.
Knock on wood, we'll see.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And the last question I had is about trees, and obviously we have a lot of tree removal, fallen trees. Do we also have any type of like tree replanting plan or landscape plan for replacement?
So last year we did plant some oaks with Nico Bachmeyer. Got us some trees, and we planted them last year thanks to her. We planted them at several locations. Unfortunately, they're a little small and the deer ate several of them. So I've been propagating some oaks at home. And so what we're trying to do is an oak will last, several hundred years. It doesn't grow at the same rate that a Monterey pine grows, and within 60 years, it's ready to fall over and damage buildings. And, the oaks and the cypress were more native to our area than the Monterey pines. There's been some discussion about whether they're native at all. They might be actually from Australia. I've had different arborists tell me different things. But they're really not conducive to our zone. So we're trying to propagate more oaks. Okay.
Thank you. With that, board, if there's nothing else, I don't think there is any direction to give except for gratitude and keep up the great work. Thank you. And thank you for providing us with these quarterly updates so we can stay apprised. I know we see some of the things on the ground when we're out and about, but it's also nice to see it all put together and organized and laid out so nice. So kudos to your dad presentation.
Perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Anderson. Okay, board, the last substantive item, it looks like, for the most part on our list is the 2025 CSBA annual conference report out. Dr. Adamson, this says it's your item. Would you like to begin? If not, I was gonna let President Hazen or do that. I'm gonna practice your name and practice the gavel too. Dr. Hazen, would you like to start us off with your conference report out?
Sure, I can be quick about that. And sorry, I really thought we had decided to do it at board comment, so apologies for that mistake. I was just gonna say exactly like Dr. Adamson mentioned as well, the workshop went really well, but Dr. Adamson, you were missed. We spoke a lot about that fact. But it, even for being a Friday morning, which was the last day of the conference, the room was almost full. There were empty seats, but there were a lot of people in it. And it was just really nice to be able to share the progress that we have made and examples of how the difference between unity of decisions and unity of purpose, right? We can have difference in our opinions, difference in our votes, but if we have the common goal focused on our students, we can get through difficult issues a lot more successfully. So we're really lucky to. Well, the other thing I'll say quickly about that, it was interesting hearing from some of the other folks in the room about the issues they're dealing with. And I just want to say, even with some of the issues we have here, we're really lucky to have such a great community in PG. Just a few other things from the other sessions. There was one where Ventura was working with their local Navy office and CSU Channel Islands to implement some STEM programs for students, similar to the ROV club we have here, through their before and after care programs. It was really exciting to hear because apparently there are coordinators at all of the offices, so I would guess here at NPS, that would be, interested in such outreach, just to say, they highlighted how it really does take a champion at the sites. But it's always exciting to think about ways we can partner with our broader community. And then I'll go over just a few other quick things that I'm going to try to write up and send to you, Dr. Adamson, just so you have, my lessons learned as they slowly escape from my brain. But I went to a session on legislative action, and it just was a good reminder that we do have what's called a PACER, which is one of CSBA's contacts that we can work with on our local issues. So I did have a chat with her at one of the sessions about the bill basically trying to push for basic aid funding for TK that unfortunately failed in California, the budget process, but it's something that, again, I think is important for us to keep moving on. there was a group I spoke with that talked a lot about basically offering IEP 504 support to school districts. And so I'll pass that name and contact along. I think they might have already been in touch with at least one member of the district. So hopefully that's something that, I'm just duplicating efforts here. There's another really interesting program that used ELOP grants and ELOP funding that was kind of a startup. The cool thing, they were doing a lot of STEM education, like makerspace type work. But, one of the thoughts we've talked about or heard about from our community that the youth center right now is underutilized on the city side. And there might be an opportunity there. I was just thinking for maybe a city PGUSD partnership targeting more of the middle school students that might want to spend time at that youth center and have more activities to do there. And then the last one that was brought up is, we've talked a lot about the budget, and I know we've had at least somebody from the public, at least one or two folks talk about the idea of kind of a foundation. And I am not the right person to set something like that up, but basically having some sort of, members of the community that are willing to help with fundraise to cover some of the items that are not available to be covered in our budget seemed like a really good opportunity. There's probably, various pitfalls that come with it, but it was a good reminder. That was a way a lot of districts were able to get some things done that cost money that I think we have had a hard time doing. So that was my quick summary. And like I said, I'll pass along any of the notes. It was really nice to be there with folks. We missed Trustee or Clerk Shamas and Trustee Otmar and Dr. Adamson, but it still was a really valuable learning experience. So thanks for the district for supporting our attendance.
Thank you for your comments. And just to brag for a moment, we sat through the presentation given by our district in conjunction with our attorney, Lou Lozano, and a superintendent from another district. And it was a packed room on the last morning of the conference, which is not typical. And it was really neat to hear from other board members and through the comments. I mean, the first thing that came out was like, this was the best presentation I've been to this whole week, in the value of it. And what I found really cool about the presentation was that, a lot of the workshops I went to, because it's my brain, were policy driven, and the policies are changing. So, it's like between book bans and Title IX and all of these different issues. What the presentation given by PGUSD and others focused on was like, we're not going to solve these highly charged political issues at our dais in this board meeting, but the how and the process of how we talk about them and how we talk to each other and our word choice matters, because we're going to continue to keep having challenging issues come before us as a board. And I think it's exactly what you spoke to, President Hazen, and unity of purpose, right? Like, dissent is part of democracy, but we're united in our vision and our focus. And so we're able to see ourselves getting work done in this way. I didn't go to any really cool, new idea workshops like that. It was mostly policy, and the board president workshop. So thank you all for allowing me to attend there and learn from others who have sat in the role, and most of us who had not yet. The one cool thing about that was I got to connect with the woman who is the youngest elected official. She's a school board trustee up in Yuba City. She's 22. And so she's doing the work, and she's an advocate, and you don't typically see as many young faces out in the school board trustee land. So it's just really neat to sit at a table and share and feel that energy and kind of excitement for the work. And I appreciated that, just the ability to network with others who were similarly situated. And also hear stories. And like you said, President Hazen, you hear some other districts and what they're going through and the challenges they have with just getting through a meeting. And it does make you really grateful for what we're doing here and what we're focused on. So those are my insights.
Since I'm going third, this is a bit repetitive, but I'll echo the sentiments. The reception to former President Hazen's presentation was really great. But also Buck got a special call out, huge call out by Lou Lozano for being basically just a great guy. And willing or basically capable of diffusing any situation and the right person for that. So I thought that bared special mention. And then in terms of what I went to, I will say missed the other trustees. It was a Sacramento part. No disparaging Sacramento, but it was a little, and it was overcast. It was a little more downbeat this year, but and I had less luck finding great sessions, but I did go to a really great session from Cupertino Unified School District, who really seems to blend SEL stuff and the more old school education standards, but they do it in a really innovative way. And I'll pass along a presentation to share with the board. And then I went to a few AI things, but it is such a new space. There wasn't really too much evidence of how to use it, but there was one school district that I thought was using it in the most interesting way, and kind of responsible, but no real outcomes came from that. And then just in terms of the trade show, I mean, maybe it's advertising working or something, but the CTE programs for building and construction and everything, I'm always tempted, not just because of the great swag, but because the salaries and like the need in that profession or that whole trade are really just interesting. And even though we don't have CTE programs for that kind of industry here at our school, I think students can go to Castroville, I think, in case they're interested. I know no students are really listening to this at 9:30 on a Thursday, but it just bears mentioning that I think we could still support certain CTE programs, even if they're not on campus necessarily. Yeah. That's it.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Hazen and Trustee Wax for sharing. It was an enjoyable conference. Not the same without
Party Animal Shamas.
Party Animal Shamas and Party Animal More, Dr. Adamson. That's right. Yeah, we turned it, yeah. No board direction on that item. Thank you, everyone, for sharing again. Last item on our agenda is future agenda items, and we have our hopeful chart to track. Are there any additional future agenda items based on our discussion tonight or that trustees would like to propose? Dr. Hazen shaking his head no. Okay, that works.
No comment.
Oh, public, this is, thank you. Public comment for all the students online who are proposing items. That would be so exciting. Sorry, it really would. Okay, no public comment on future agenda items. There is the online form. If anybody should have a thought and want to fill one out at any time other than this. Because we are always receiving them and reviewing them and determining what fits our agenda. And I guess with that, nothing to add. We can adjourn until our next meeting, and our next regular meeting will be on January 15th, 2026. Happy holidays, happy new year, and we'll see you next year. We're adjourned.